Caleb Russell took back the #1 spot on the podium from Thad Duvall. But again, it wasn't easy, because this race was a straight 3-hour sprint for the lead that went all the way to the finish. It's been that way between them all year. Can Russell hold off Duvall again? The Grand National Cross Country Series rolls into the X Factor Ranch in Peru, Indiana, live right now on RacerTV.com.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
What's up? Caitlin Osborne here with Landon Wolf. We're in Peru, Indiana at the X Factor AMSOIL GNCC. Track's looking great out there, but let's talk about what happened last race.
So last race we were back at Camp Coker. Caleb Russell was right off of his first loss of the year. Went out, him and Thad had an all-day battle. I mean, it was one of the biggest battles I've seen in GNCC history. Caleb Russell did come out on top, seconds ahead of Thad. Thad came in second, with Ricky Russell rounding out the podium. I know it was a really hot day. It made for really good racing. XC2, we had Josh Toth, off of a hand injury earlier this year. He's clearly back. He's back in business, back to his winning ways, got the win in Camp Coker. And in XC2, we also had good racing all day long. Josh Toth had a hand injury earlier on in the year. I believe it was round 2. Round 3 actually, and he is clearly back, ready for wins. He took home the win at Camp Coker, back to his winning ways, but he didn't do it easily. Had good battles all day long.
Yeah, he was able to hold off Ben Kelly and Austin Lee, and in the XC3 we also had some great battles.
Yeah, we had Jesse Ansley came out on top. I believe that's 2 wins in a row for him. Also good competition. That's somewhat of a new class to our series here, but the 125 Pro class is really booming. Jesse Ansley, like I said, coming away with the win at the last round. Jason Raines came away with the #2 spot with Cody Barnes rounding out the podium, and that made for good racing, and I think we're going to see good battles from them all day today.
All right, and let's take it down to Jared in the cabin for the track description.
Thanks, guys. We're here at X Factor Whitetails GNCC once again, and this year already promises to be much better than last year. I think it's going to be a long time before anybody forgets how muddy last year was. It was probably one of the muddiest races we've had in the 44-year history of GNCC racing, but even with a little bit of rain in the forecast this year is already promising to be a lot better. And it actually needs the rain. It's really, really dry out there. As long as it doesn't get too wet, it's something really, really nice. This is a phenomenal facility. A great course. It has a little bit of something for everyone. There's not a lot of tight stuff here. It's a little bit on the fast side. There's some really fast field sections, but the woods here, we found some really, really good technical stuff. Lots of ups and downs, some off cambers, and I think that'll give some guys who are better at the technical stuff a chance to get up there and run with those guys who are really good on the really fast stuff, which is going to make for some really interesting racing. And of course, you can't beat the X Factor facility itself. Anywhere you can come sit and just be a few hundred feet from the racetrack. I mean, look at this. You can't beat this. So overall, phenomenal facility. Got a great weekend of racing. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jared. Now let's take it down to Rodney Tomlin on the start line.
And thanks a lot, guys, down here on the starting line as the temperatures are beginning to rise here on a Sunday. I tell you, we've had cool, we've had rain, sprinkles, nothing really out of the ordinary, but right now, a little cloud cover and the humidity starting to set in. Things are heating up for a big race. It's going to be hot here today. We've seen some hot battles already this season, so a real battle here last year. Caleb Russell coming off of a win there a couple of weeks ago. Man, you're looking to make it 5 out of 6 wins so far this season.
Yeah, it's looking a lot better than last year. Obviously, we got completely 180 conditions, and you know, we'll really see what this place has to offer. You know, last year you couldn't really tell anything. You couldn't, predict if it's ever going to be a good race. So it looks really nice. Hopefully, we can get out front and set the pace.
All right, he sounds great, and I know he wants to take another win. Let's see if he can do it, folks. Let's meet our starting lineup. And now, rolling to the line first today in accordance to points in the Grand National Cross Country Championship overall standings. He rides aboard the number 1. He is a 5-time GNCC champion hailing from Boonville, North Carolina on an FMF KTM Factory Racing KTM, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line today. He is second in points. He rides aboard the number 989 from Williamstown, West Virginia. A win just 2 races ago on a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna Racing Husky. He's Bad Duval. Rolling to the line third today in points in search of his first win here in 2018. Aboard the 514 from Belton, South Carolina on a Teely Energy Racing KTM, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next aboard the 739 from Morganton, North Carolina on the JCR Lucas Oil Fly Racing Honda, Trevor Bollinger. He is 5th in points aboard the 114, formerly of Australia and a former GNCC champion. From out of North Carolina on a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna Racing Husky, Josh Strang. Up next, he's our top finishing rookie here in 2018. He rides aboard the 523 from Fairmont, West Virginia on a KR4 Husqvarna, Lane Michael. From out of the great northwest of Duval, Washington, aboard the number 212 Ampro Yamaha, he's rough, he's rowdy, Ricky Russell. Riding aboard the number 12, out of Cookeville, Tennessee, on a Beta USA Beta, Jordan Ashburn. 9th in points as we roll into the 6th round of racing aboard the 121 from Logan, Ohio, on a KR4 Husqvarna, Corey Patrick. Rolling to the line next today, he is 10th in points, riding aboard the number 17 from Forked River, New Jersey, on a Solid Performance KTM Fly Racing KTM, Jesse Grom. And back at it again, aboard the number 410 from Birdsboro, Pennsylvania, on a Factory Gas, Fred Andrews Racing Gas, Andrew DeLong. And last and certainly not least, aboard the 314 from Belton, South Carolina, on a Teely Energy Racing KTM, Grant Baylor. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this round number 6, the X Factor Whitetails GNCC, as we are set to roll here in the GNCC Racing Nation. And of course, the machines begin to fire up and rev up as we anticipate the start of this race here in just a few moments, my friends. Ricky Towery, our now maestro and conductor of ceremonies, he will take to the pew here in just a moment. That is the first turn region, and he will signal these riders to fire them up, and that usually means about a 2-minute time frame. He'll step back out in about 60 seconds. He will let these folks know we are 1 minute away. Then after that, we'll see the blue flag wave. That'll put us 30 seconds away. And from that point on, we wait patiently for that left arm to go straight out for the all-important 10-second call, the call that really rocks the line each and every time it is made as the hearts pound and the adrenaline flows as GNCC Racing is almost ready to go. Ricky Towery finding his way back out into that first turn region now as he sets himself. And now signaling these riders 1 minute before the start of the X Factor GNCC. And a lot of questions here today. Thad Duvall taking the win here a year ago in those extremely muddy conditions. And, of course, Thad also getting a win a couple of races ago with momentum like that on his side, the confidence of being here after winning here last year. You have to wonder, is he looking for another win here today? Well, I can tell you, yes, he is. As we shut him down, guys, shut him down, shut him down, shut him down. We are now less than 30 seconds away from going racing. And I got to ask you, Indiana, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Pretty good, Indiana. But I know we're in the heart of IXCR country. And I'm going to ask you one more time. Let's do them proud. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the X Factor Whitetail GNCC. $250 up for grabs in our Whole Shot Award. And it's going to be the 514, Stu Baylor. Right behind him, Rough and Rowdy Ricky Russell and Caleb Russell in the number 3 spot to open it up. But it is Stu Baylor taking the early lead in the $250 to go to XC2 250 Pro. Craig DeLong, Sam Evans, Nathan Thornhill, Pascal Achnecker, Austin Lee, Joseph Ferrero, Liam Draper, Joshua Toke, Brendan Riordan, Harrison Helmick, Michael Witkowski, Ryder Lafferty, Evan Smith, Anthony Federico, Tyler Brandon, Benjamin Kelly, Zach Nolan, Zach Hayes, Jake Froman, Braxton McGee, Nick Davis, Trevor Barrett, Jonathan Grohr, and Jonathan Johnson in 10 seconds. "24 riders firing off that line into that first turn as they jockey for position. Side by side, handlebar banging. Oh! $175, Joseph Ferrero from West Creek, New Jersey on an HK Truck Center Ride on Moto Guts Racing Machine, stealing the $100 Whole Shot Award right there. FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am, Jesse Ansley, Cody Barnes, Ryan Lojack, Alex Teagarden, Eddie Lojack Jr., Matthew Sims, Colin Keegan, Hunter Shelton, Jason Langenbeck, and Jason Raines ready to roll in 10 seconds. Oh, that sweet seeing of those 125s up that start and at the stripe. Whoa! What's the official word on that one? Jesse Ansley grabbing the whole shot in that one. It was 3 riders side by side as we head to the 258 class. Ready to roll in 10 seconds. Chase Hayes, Dakota DeVore, Blaine Kimry, Matthew Davis, Owen Geis, Noah Clark, Zachary DuBois, Keith Ginley, Nathan Rector, Brewer Colley, Jeff Lance, John Farrell, Matthew Kiefer, Noah Stewart, Cameron Prochnow, Simon Johnson, and Barry Fernandez. 33, Chase Hayes from Sumter, South Carolina, and his Carolina KTM taking the early lead. He's also backed by HBD Motographics and XC Gas. 200A class coming up next. Joe Marsh, Tyler Centrino, Zachary Davidson, Michael Beeler, Dylan Zimpel, Chase Colville, Landon Lynn, Casey Moore, Ty England, Ryder LeBlanc, and Travis Reynaud. Ready to roll on Ricky Towery's cue. 10 seconds. Well, 513 on the bike there. That would be Ryder LeBlanc. And LeBlanc is going to pull it off as he takes the early lead from New Florence, PA on a MaxTire.com Bell Helmets EKS brand machine. 4-stroke A lights, Connor Keegan, Johnny Manera, Michael DeLosa, Hunter Williams, Brody Johnson, Russell Smith, Bolton Biroff, Brendan Poling, Tracy Hall, Tanner Cowart, Adam Parker, Tyler Daniel. 10 seconds. Jacob Chrisman, Riley Johnson, Nathan Davis, Brandon Keegan, Aaron Farr, Nick O'Brien, and Brady Moore. It's a 66. Whoa, 255. Steals it right there at the very end on the hole shot anyway. Russell Smith from West Mifflin, Pennsylvania. Tri-State Power Motivations. Also Fly Racing, another proud sponsor, as Ricky lets us know less than 30 to go for the Open A. Levi Keller, Connor Smith, Eric Douglas, Ben Parsons, Zach Tussle. 10 seconds. Jared Williams, Evan Earl, Alan Jones, Logan Lowry, Eric Geis, Brock Cagle, Levi Cagle, Tyler Soriano, Tucker Smith, Maxwell Randolph, Joshua Lee, Vincent Smith, Matt Curvin, Cook Beckert, Jason Lipscomb, and Bryce Coster. That's your Open A. Whoa! Couple of front runners slide down that first turn. That opens the way for the 432 of Vincent Smith from Nashville, Indiana on the Moose Racing FMF V3 off-road machine. The Vet A30 Plus class, Sam Forrester, Jared Hoffman, Louis Oleon, Surly Amancio, Andrew Smith, Andrew Matusik, Bills of Indy, and Sean Craver. Ready to roll here. Seconds. Oh, they're off that 830 plus class, and I can tell you right now, anybody that's watching at home and didn't come because they were afraid of the rain, you got to be kicking yourself in the tail right now. Near perfect conditions, a little dusty on the start, but that's all right. 360. Surly Amancio from New Milford, Connecticut, taking the early lead in this one. Senior A, 40 plus, Shotgun Sean Remington, Frank Tussle, Gregory Richardson, William Lackey, Bob Bergman, John Beaver, Rick Burton, Frank Messina, and Larry Sylvia. 10 seconds. .589, Frank Messina from Campbell Hall, New York, gets a great jump off the line. Let's see if he can carry it to turn 2 now. And a pole shot stripe with the inside advantage. Looks like he will as we go to the Junior AB 25 plus class. Andrew Boggs, Tyler Brutton, Casey Belt, Devin Burks, Dustin Ulrich, Nick Mellinger, Tyler Martin, Brady Stefanik, Lucas Towery, Colton Hawk, Jesse Kildo, and Sammy Doris. Getting the carnage cleaned up in turn 1. Ricky Towery readying these riders now in the Junior AB 25 plus class. Letting them know it's about time to roll in 10 seconds. .64, Tyler Bruton out of Trowbridge, North Carolina, taking the early lead in this one as we go to the 250Bs now. Cody Moorhead, Kyle Prismont, Cooper Haynes, Jake Borum, Philip DeGodney's, also Landon Ray, Sean Cochran, Greg Childers, Michael Modick, Ian Flynn. 10 seconds. Jack McMakin, Robert Whitlock, Cole Whitmer, Dylan Ritter, Zachary Sanders, Andrew Coffey, and Emilio Baderas. And it's the 518, Cole Whitmer from Amity, Pennsylvania on an Ampro Yamaha backed by Waynesburg Yamaha. And Answer Racing grabbing the early lead in this one. 200B class, Sean Myers, Tanner Kerfman, Ryan Ladon, Jacob Harmon, Bailey Parker, and Colby Davis. 10 seconds. Got a low jacks Yamaha. First into the turn. Let's see what happens here. I'm thinking Bailey Parker. Yeah, Bailey Parker's going to pull out ahead out of Johnson City, Tennessee. The Vet B30 plus class, Wes Morris, Larry Hopper, Robert Jones, Jeremy Stowobi. 10 seconds. Parker Fowler, Gary Basang, Steve Lembruno, Neil Hood, Justin Ramsey, Marty Peak, Matt Modick, and Ben Conaway. 911, Ben Conaway out of Howard, Ohio on a Team Conaway Jacobs Moto Point View back machine. And Open B coming up next. Matt Sorge, Austin Mallett, Jordan Lawson, Ryan Kerr, Trenton Bompman, Dalton Veccarelli, Ian Smith, Evan Young, Connor Kennedy, Marshall McFarland. 10 seconds. Matt Bruffy, Jacob Barnes, Joshua Webb, Dylan Ely, Corey Burton, Mario Tokchev, Andrew Davis, and Drew Norris. Tonkiv, I am not sure how to pronounce Mario's name, but see how, ooh, there goes. 359, Trenton Boffman from Crothersville, Indiana on IXCR Fly Racing FMF back machine. Senior B coming up next. We're looking at Mark Proper, Leon Whitaker, Devin Ferguson, John Johnson, Todd Oney, Jason Wilson, Jason Stickley, Joe Maurice, Doug Whitmer, Gene Swidler, Dan Price, and Darren Darmos. 10 seconds. Well, he's got a 920 on his bike. Let's see what we got going on here on his helmet. 431. That is Jason Stickley from McDonald, Pennsylvania on Lunova Racing, Stiller Motorsports. Stickley hauling back KTM. 4-stroke B lights. Coming up next, Garrett George, Andy Smith, Garrett Robertson, Tyler Daniels, Gatlin Welburn, Zach Maley, TJ Fine. 10 seconds. Tyler Sylvia, Jake Easter, Mac Reimer, Tyler Gentry, and Billy Saliga. Four-stroke B light, see if we can catch. Kind of missed that one right there. Could not see the number on that helmet, and that's going to wrap it up as far as our starts right now, folks. And, wow, 3 hours of racing lying ahead of us here. Caleb Russell looking for redemption from, well, a year ago here in the mud as Thad Duvall took the win. And Thad Duvall's looking to chip away at that 19-point deficit between he and first place position in points. Can he do it here today? What's going to happen? It is the X Factor, folks. And there's a million things that could fall into place. Stick around. GNCC Live continues right after this.
Whether you are looking for a 150 class or 600 class deer, X Factor Whitetails can suit your needs. We offer guided weapon of choice hunts for all groups of all sizes. From the time you arrive at our location, you'll get the 5-star service. We boast the capability of sleeping over 20 people comfortably. Book your hunt today. Call 765-244-0170 or go to xfactorwhitetails.com.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL's Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best. The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends. We become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Whether you were looking for a 150 class or 600 class deer, X Factor. Whether you were looking for a 100.
XC1, XC2, and FMF XC3 starts. There we go. The XC1 starts. Guys, I was a little caught up, so talk to me. What did we see out there out of the XC1 start, Hunter?
Yeah, we saw Stu Baylor get off to a great start. He grabbed the whole shot, and it looked like those guys are ready to do some battle out here today on the X Factor track, which I raced yesterday, and it looks awesome out there today.
Well, that's impressive, Stu Baylor. He sounded hungry in the pre-race report. Now we're taking a look at the XC2 class. Who got the whole shot out of this? Boy, that is tight. Look at that dust kicking up. Do you know who got the XC2 whole shot?
I believe it was Joseph Rivera.
Yes. Joseph Rivera. All right, so there's a name not having a whole shot all season, so great start for him. And then a look, I believe this is, I missed the graphic, but I think that looked like the FMF XC3.
Yep, that looked like that was Jesse Ansley getting off the start there on a super close one off the start there as well.
So Jesse Ansley, I believe, is your points leader as well in the FMF XC3. So, man, great start to round number 6 for him in this one. And getting a look at that Monster Mile right now, part of this track. And I believe we're going to take a look now at one of the replays we've got of our leaders coming through.
Oh, he's frozen.
And he's frozen.
That looked like Caleb Russell out front.
So it does look like Caleb Russell back out in front. Was that look like Stu there in the number 2 spot?
Yeah, yep.
And I heard you guys talking when I came into the booth. Sounds like Thad Duvall with a rough start off the line, last off the line this afternoon.
Yeah, we watched him come through, and it was quite a while after the packet came through that he came through. So
wow, so you
I don't know I didn't see exactly what happened, but a struggle.
Actually, it looks like Ricky Russell out front.
So there we go. How about that, Ricky Russell? And there they're pointing lines. There goes Caleb Russell right there. So Ricky Russell, Caleb Russell, no relation. And then that looked like was that Stu Baylor behind him, and then maybe Josh Strang?
Yes, and then Corey Buttrick.
Corey Buttrick, wow, great start for Corey Buttrick out of the XC1 then. So
there's a new line up the inside.
How about that? Picking lines through the Monster Mile here this afternoon. More of our XC1 riders coming through now. So everybody, the first 5 riders or so, all in there pretty tight together. And now we're seeing the next group. So not a lot of distance between these guys yet. One of the things I heard them talking about this morning was as much as the open field sections are dusty, they talked about these wood sections really dust not being a factor. We had a little bit of rain yesterday. They've kept everything watered down pretty good. Hunter, XC2, you won yesterday. You're doing a great job, man. Tell us, what can these guys expect out of this track today?
Truthfully, probably the best track they've seen all year. I mean, the dirt in the woods was absolutely perfect. There were literally two water spots on the whole track, and other than that, it was prime. I mean, they did an awesome job laying it out, and definitely the whole but all in all, you're going to see some perfect Indiana dirt, a little bit of loam in the corners, with a little bit of slick stuff in the fields, and then they might hit a little bit of dust in the fields as well.
So we got to look here at the X Factor Whitetails here in Peru, Indiana, the track map. We can see we got about an 11-mile course for the riders today, and we're going to take a look here. We're going to kind of highlight the areas that we've got camera shots in to give you folks so you can see. Don't get too distracted by the giant white rectangle. That is the camera footage we'll have on the drone. So the drone will cover everything from the start around the finish line area, and then we've got a camera shot there and between the 6 and the 7, as well as the 4 and the 5, and then there in between the 9 and the 10. So lots of good camera shots for you guys today, so should be able to see a lot of this race in action. And you can kind of see there in the background, it's got a little bit of everything here at the X Factor. You think of Indiana as just being absolutely flat farmland, and I can say that because I'm from here, so I know. But out here at the X Factor, we've got a little bit of everything. There's some good rolling hills, and Hunter, some good hill climbs as well.
Yeah, for sure. Out by the FMF power plant was pretty sweet yesterday. You went down into a little ravine, and you hopped out of the top, and then you hit a nice long straightaway through the woods. And there's some good ravines out in some of the creek beds. Were definitely pretty gnarly. There was one over by the 2 as well that the fans could check out. She was a big one. That one was pretty gnarly. Had some nice good ruts up through the top. There were some good spectators out there as well, giving us some good lines.
So we've got an action-packed day for you there. You're seeing a little drone footage of VP Racing Fuels Pro Row there. A good look at the different pits we got out there, as well as a vendor row. You can see CST tires there. Boy, look at that drone shot. You heard Rodney kind of talking about it at the start of this one. If you stayed home because you knew what the weather was going to be, well, you're kicking yourself in the butt now, because it turned out to be an absolute beautiful, beautiful day. Taking a look at the bits of JCR pits. And the dog just enjoying the weather, man, chilling before the chaos ensues of these pro riders coming through pit row here. So good look, a little behind the scenes action, if you will. The Coastal Racing rig right there. Barry Hawk and company got his riders dialed in, ready for a good day today. Pascal Rockenecker, the rest of the crew out there going to do their thing. How about that view, though? I got to be honest, I get distracted here in a little bit when Rodney comes back. I always work my way down into the pits, talking to these guys. I always get distracted by those giant TVs they've got there. Well, coming into today's race, you've heard from us. Let's hear from some of these pro riders about their expectations coming into the GNCC X Factor.
Yeah, for sure. It don't look the same at all, but it looks good. It's a little dry in the fields, and the woods has got a lot of moisture. So yeah, it looks fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, the biggest thing is get a good start, and if we don't get a good start, try to make our way to the front as quickly as possible and latch onto those guys before they take off.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody asked me earlier. They said, you get your stuff figured out. I said, nope. What's your plan for the day? I was like, well, I'll probably crash, get pissed off, and come out swinging. That's the plan. That's when I ride my best. When I get mad, and right now I'm pretty aggravated. At the National Enduros, the Sprint Enduros, everything's not as magnified as they are at the GNCCs. The track is a lot more brutal, and I'm just like I said, we're running into issues that can be fixed, but it's just it's getting really aggravating for me right now. Yeah, definitely. I like the hard pack. I like the dry. It's what I grew up riding in. The track looks really good. Obviously it's on the short side, a lot of laps, which isn't a bad thing. It's going to make the track that much rougher, which makes things tougher for the riders. And I think when things get tougher, that's when I do my best. So hopefully we'll dig deep today and cut through the BS. Let's go racing.
Yeah, it definitely has a bunch of off campers. I didn't really put much thought into that, but yeah, it's got a bunch of little creeks that we kind of go in and then shoot up a hill, and it's got some off campers, trees. But like I said, it's open, so there's plenty of lines, which is really cool. So yeah, I think it'll be a really good racetrack. Like I said, they kind of left a bunch of debris, kind of like some logs. There's a bunch of logs and a bunch of stuff in the trails, and I think it'll be a really good track. You can ask me again here in a few hours how it is, but definitely looking forward to getting out there today.
I ride a lot better in the muddy, nasty, ruddy conditions. I mean, GNCC is known for that, but I think today is going to be, honestly, the woods holds a lot of moisture, seems like, from biking it yesterday. The fields are going to be dry slick, hard packed, which I don't really enjoy, but I think it's going to shape up to be a good rutted track in the woods. So I definitely do better. Like, I honestly wish it poured down rain and we had a mud bog, but it's not going to be like that today, so it'll be good.
I biked it last night, and it looks awesome. I'm super stoked. It looks a lot like where I'm from, back in Pennsylvania, so should be good. 3 hours is a long time, but I think I'm ready for it.
We ride the course, and there's a big rock here or a fence post here, and you come around the track and you can't see that stuff, and that's the stuff that's that if it's muddy, I mean, you're going slow, you can see that stuff, so it's no big deal. When it's dusty, it increases the risk a little bit, and the people that want to risk more, I mean, they'll still go fast through the dust, and I'm not one of those guys. I'd much rather ride the mud where I can see what I'm going to hit before I hit it. So today, I think, like I said, it won't be too dusty. I think the woods are actually pretty good. Just out in the fields here are a bit dusty, but I think the quad's polished off a lot of stuff, so it may not even be too much dust out here today. So I think it's going to be a good day, fun track. The second year we've been here, so I think it'll be good.
Last year, you know, we had that huge mud fest, and it was crazy, and I enjoyed that race for sure. But yeah, this year I'm really excited. Indiana is usually my favorite place to ride just because the dirt's awesome, and the woods looks really good. A little bit dry in the fields, but the woods definitely have some moisture in them, and should be a good day.
I love this place. We actually have a local IXCR here, so I've raced it before in the dry, and yeah, I like it. So I'm really looking forward to today. I'd like to put it up on top. There's no reason why I can't. I'm there. I have the speed. I have the fitness, and I'm ready to do it. Yeah, it was cool looking at. I mean, the track's kind of the same. You know, the same way we ran it in the IXR. So some of the lines are the same, but I mean, we all bike the track. We all know the lines, and it's going to be a 3-hour throwdown.
All right, so you heard it there from the mouths of our XC1 and XC2 pro guys, and we can tell you these guys have checked in. If you're watching or keeping up with live scoring, you know who the leader is. We had Ricky Russell out in front early. Stu Baylor came through the finish line with, how about this, a 7.641 second lead, so pretty good lead right now for Stu Baylor early in this one. The number 1, Caleb Russell, was behind him in second. Ricky Russell back at the number 3 spot. So, man, already in the first lap, things shaking up. We thought it was Thad Duvall who had the bad start. Maybe that wasn't the case. Must have been another rider, because the 989 is to the number 4 position. Thad Duvall in 4th overall. There you get a look. Stu Baylor well out in front. You guys just heard him talking there. Pre-race report about his expectations for himself coming to this one. He said, enough of the hauling around. I'll PG it up. I'll church it up. It's Sunday. But he's angry. I mean, he said, and when I ride angry, that's my best ride. So Stu Baylor coming out swinging in this thing. Josh Toth is in 5th overall. That puts him in 1st place in the XT2. A lap time 23 minutes and 3 seconds. That's impressive, man. Trevor Bollinger back in the number 6 spot. Grant Baylor 7th in the overall. Austin Lee, the 1-2-3 Austin Lee. He was one of the last folks they talked to there in the pre-race interviews about how hungry he is. Essentially, not necessarily a hometown race from Southern Indiana, but home state race, to say the least. Looking for another podium position, or a podium finish after coming off, I believe, a 2nd or 3rd place finish at round number 5. Liam Draper in the number 9 position in the overall. That puts him 3rd in the XC2. Josh Stray bouncing to the top 10. So how about that? I mean, Wheels, you're in the booth with us. Racer X, social media extraordinaire, man. What are your thoughts?
Man, I'll tell you what, every time I get a chance to cover GNCC racing, it just amazes me. You know, I'm a self-proclaimed motocross guy, and I'm used to the motocross and the speeds and stuff, but like I said last time I was here at Crawfordsville last year, these guys, they throw it down. The motocross speeds and the trees that don't move, it's gnarly.
It's impressive to say the least, and so welcome out here.
Thank you.
Wheels, smile out of me. Work at the social media, man. If you got a good smile, if you're a good rider, we can get you worked in there. So Sean of Wheels and Hunter Hart with us as well, coming off that XC2 win yesterday, man. Good job. So we're seeing these riders work through some of these open sections here, and you can see what a difference it makes between the time that they were in the woods. And Hunter can kind of speak to this more than I can. The woods section, no dust at all, clear as day riding, and they get in these open section, and man, they're kicking up the dust.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can almost see like the line on the monitor right now. Like you can see where the tree line goes from like that perfect brown dirt into the almost the hard pack right there. And yeah, that's kind of how it was. But the fields weren't bad at all. The GNCC did a good job laying it out. And the woods were the fields were just a little dry, but I mean that's part of it. And they were fun. They had a lot of good flow to them, and the woods were perfect. I mean the woods were primed where you could just haul in the mail all day through there. And I think these guys are in for a real treat today with the way that the dirt is out here.
So with the dust in these open field sections, I mean, as a rider, how does that play into the race for you? Because does it make it more difficult to kind of key off a guy riding in front of you? Because, I mean, you get blinded. What's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely challenging, but I mean, you kind of, if you're the guy leading, you definitely kick up a little extra dust, and if you're the guy following, you're definitely trying to move yourself out of the dust, and it's all kind of just a strategy a little bit, you know, and if you're close enough to the guy ahead of you, you can kind of see if he hits something that gets real squirrely, you know, there's probably something that you wanna watch for, because there's something there that caused him to do that, and you can kind of tell him to brace yourself for that, and if you're the guy leading, you're able to kind of just control it and stay on pace and stay on par.
Well, as we roll along here this afternoon, want to take a look at the FMF XC3. We'll be seeing those guys working through this open section here in just a moment. Your points leader, Jesse Ansley, is out in front still after one, but boy, knocking on the door is the number 99, and Cody Barnes. Who have we got down? One of the, okay, you're right. Wasn't sure who that was there, but Cody Barnes in the number 2 spot out of the FMF XC3. Jason Longenbach is in the number 3 spot out of that FMF XC3. Jason Raines back in the number 4 spot. He has been a podium regular this season. And then we've got Alex Teagarden rounding out the top 5 in the FMF XC3. Well, early on in this one, we're one lap and about a quarter into it. Out of the XC1, talking a big game coming into this one was Stu Baylor, and he's already in first place after one lap, and we actually had a chance to catch up with Stu's mechanic earlier today.
Alan Gravette from Flary Branch, Georgia. Everybody calls me AG. I've been doing this for 9 years now. Kind of started out doing the 24-hour in Maplesville, Alabama for KTM, building the bikes and also riding on the team, and that got to be a little too much, so I just started building the bikes and kind of running the pits at that race, and I've been doing this ever since. At the last GNCC, he rode the last hour and 45 minutes of the race with one fork that wasn't working. It was just there holding the front wheel on. And the funny thing about it is the very next lap, his lap time was within 2 seconds of Caleb's lap time. So, you know, sometimes he just got to get really mad before he starts riding hard. So I'm going to make him really mad tomorrow. We actually set the suspension up to where it's a little bit stiffer than it would be for an enduro, because the GNCC's in a hare scramble track. It's a short track, and they're constantly going around and around and around it, so it gets a lot rougher than an enduro trail does. So we've got the suspension to where it's a little bit more geared toward that, and the gearbox is a little bit more geared toward that. It's more of a close ratio gearbox than the old EXCs and stuff we had. So the XC is basically just an enduro bike that has been set up to race GNCC and cross country. And I'm really looking forward to what Stu can do tomorrow at the X Factor GNCC after what happened to him at Camp Coker. He was really excited about that race, and he really likes the trophy they have here. Being a big deer hunter, I deer hunt, so having one of these trophies would be awesome.
Go from the mouth of Stu's mechanic there. How about that accent, man? That just screams racing right there. That's something about that southern accent. I feel like I'm at NASCAR right now. And he was mentioning that trophy. We'll have a look at that one later. Surely you saw the one last year that Thad captured. Sounds like Stu wants one of his own. Off to a great start trying to make it happen. And a beautiful, beautiful overall trophy. One of the whitetails here at the X Factor, and about as impressive as it gets, man. As we come into this one, taking a look at the point standings coming in here to round number 6, Caleb Russell in control with 145 points on the season. Thad Duvall in the number 2 spot with 126. Stu Baylor looking to chip away at that lead. Back in the number 3 spot, Trevor Bollinger not too far off with 90, and Josh Strang rounding out your top 5 in the XC1 Pro class. So there is your point standing between the top 5 riders. So as we look now at the XC2 250 Pro class, Ben Kelly, your leader out in front. Josh Toth looking for, he's had a couple of rough rounds, but coming off a big win there in round number 5, looking to carry that momentum into today. And then Pascal Rockenecker, who is actually battling, I believe it was a broken pinky, and seems to be nagging him a little more than he expected. He's in the number 3 spot in the points. Craig DeLong is in 4th, and Liam Draper rounding out your top 5. But, man, how about the teammates, Ben Kelly and Josh Toth? And speaking of Ben Kelly, your XC2 points leader, we actually had a chance to catch up with him.
Yeah, things are going great. Having a really great start to this season, leading the points in the XC2 class, and got a few wins in a few seconds, and I'm just really happy with it. It's been a battle for sure with my teammate Josh, and yeah, pretty much every race we seem to link up and are pushing each other right to the finish line. Kind of expect that because we ride and train a lot together during the week. We're really good friends, and yeah, we push each other during the week, so when we link up during the race, it's just kind of natural to us. Yeah, it definitely is like a 3-hour sprint. It's hard to pace yourself out there nowadays just because the competition is so stiff. So you're out there either trying to catch the person first, or if you're leading, you're trying to run away with it and get a little gap. So it's tough. You try to pace yourself, I guess. It's more so trying to ride as fast as you can, but conserve energy at the same time. So yeah, it's definitely, I'm going as fast as I can for the whole 3 hours.
Well, Ben Kelly right there, you got the word from him. Not off to the best start in today's race. Your points leader back in the number 7 spot in the XC2 class. Going to have a lot of ground to make up here in the X Factor GNCC. Good look at the property right there. You know, it's our second season here at the X Factor, but compared to the conditions of last year, what did you see?
Someone just went down.
Oh, we got one of our riders wiping out. But when you compare it to last year, it's almost like the first time here again. It's almost like 2 completely different races, because you think of the mud bowl or the mud bog or the boat race, whatever you want to call it, of last season compared to this year. Really, it's an even playing ground for everybody.
For sure. I mean, last year, Johnny G got the win on the ATV side of things, and Dad got it on the bike side of things. But yeah, I mean, we came into here and it was completely different. You know, like last year, I had some pretty good success on the first lap here. I led the ATV overall for the first lap, and Johnny got the second one. And yeah, I mean, it was good. You know, I mean, I definitely can't lie. I was excited to come out here, and I was excited to see what this place had. You know, because I mean, Indiana Dirt's always really good, and it was good. You know, I mean, it was kind of like a brand new venue again, because you know, last year we never really got to see what this place had in store, and then this year it was awesome. It looked good. It was fun, and I can't wait to come back next year.
Well, we see the Monster Mile here. These guys working their way through there. If you saw during the Stu Baylor interview, you saw him come through there still out in front. And a few seconds behind him was Caleb Russell. Man, Stu, just can't say enough about the guy so far. Can he keep this pace, though? That's been his maybe the biggest issue for Stu so far this season, is keeping that pace for a full 3 hours. He said it himself, but, man, I don't know. There's something hungry about Stu Baylor today. He's leading it so far. Leaders due in here to the finish line in about 8 minutes, just under. Caleb Russell running second. Ricky Russell back in the number 3 spot after it looked like he was out in front. Thad Duvall, we thought he had a rough start, but he is in the number 4 spot right now. Trevor Bollinger rounding out your top 5 with Grant Baylor just outside the top 5. 7th place, Josh Strang. Corey Buttrick in 8th. 9th place, Jordan Ashburn. And Lane Michael rounding out the top 10 there in the XC1. That XC2 class looking for some redemption here today, or at least not redemption, I guess, but coming off a good race. I believe he won round number 5. Looking to make it back-to-back wins is Josh Toth, the teammate of Ben Kelly, who we interviewed earlier. Austin Lee, the 1-2-3 Indiana native, looking for some of that home state magic. Austin Lee looking for maybe a win here today. And Liam Draper rounding out your top 3 there.
Well, one thing I can say about Austin Lee, we are in Indiana, and Austin has been, I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, has been on the verge and needing a win for a while in this XC2 class, as a matter of fact. I mean, he has a great team. He has great talent. He's had all the right pieces, but just can't get him to fall at the right time. But now with the Honda ride and everything that he's riding, I think things are really starting to fall in place where we're starting to see better, consistent rides out of him. And actually, I had a chance to catch up with him leading into this weekend of racing.
Better.
Yeah, it finally just happened last round. I think we've been there all year. You know, I've been knocking on the door all year, and it's just getting some races under our belt and figuring the things out that I need to work on and to put myself up on the podium every weekend. So we found something that worked last weekend, so hopefully we can carry that on to today.
Well, you can tell he's ready for a win. There's no doubt about it. Leaders just coming through the FMF PowerPoint, and I believe he is actually running second in that XC250 Pro class. He's right behind Josh Toth, about 4 seconds or so, and that's a pretty good tight race for him. And this is a good place for Austin Lee to actually begin the first part of this race. Oftentimes he finds himself having to work up through the pack, but to be up front in the early goings of this race, this could play in his favor a lot more. Here we are, a replay of the FMF PowerPoint region there. What do you see going on? Stu Baylor?
And then it looked like it was Stu and Caleb.
So Stu and Caleb making their way through as they are leading the overall, and that's what we had there last with Russell back in third. As we said, Duval was fourth. We take a look at these deficits right now. We saw 8 seconds between the second and third place ride of the number 1 and the 212 of Ricky Russell. The Russell boys, a little bit of gap there, and another 6 seconds back to Thad Duval. Here's the impressive thing again. We've been seeing this consistently, it seems like, over the last few races, and you watching from home, Wheels, you probably get pretty excited when you see things like this. But Josh Toth, strong in the top 10 right now, currently running in a 5th place overall.
Yeah, it's always impressive to me whenever I watch from home to see the XC2 guys that get up there in the, in the top 10 overall, and even when they're like a mud race or a freak thing, whenever they get up in the podium spot. I think those guys feed off of that. That's their goal, because they want to be up in the XC1 row. And so it just kind of gives them some motivation and some experience riding with those guys.
Yeah, experience really means a lot to these guys for sure. And Josh, not really coming from the GNCC background, is gaining a lot of experience fast, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's been a good year for Josh, and I think it's kind of one of those snowball effects where once you pick up momentum, it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. And so, yeah, I think we'll get used to seeing his name quite a bit.
Trevor Bollinger back in the number 6 spot overall. He's 5th in the first class. Grant Baylor, then Austin Lee, 8th overall.
We just saw your XC2 points leader go through, Ben Kelly, and then we had Nick Davis back there. They looked like they were about mid-pack there as well, coming through the FMF PowerPoint.
Looking back to the XC2 250 Pro class, looking at those names right now, we see that they are. Big Kelly's back in 7th class check, 8th place Gabe. They were about 15 seconds or so behind Jonathan Johnson, who was the 981 in a 6th place position. This might be kind of interesting. You got 2 normal front runners, kind of about mid-pack, like you say, they're Hunter Hart. And these guys could be a lot of fun to watch out on the trail, because you know they're going to be trying to make up for that lost ground early on. They want to try to establish that dominance as quickly as possible so they can find a flow and finish this race out on a little better note.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely think that Ben Kelly is going to bring anybody that he's got near him to the front of the pack today, because he's definitely a hard charger. He's leading the XC2 points for a reason. He's put it together this year. I think he was flying under a couple people's radar this year coming in, and he's looking strong. Midway through the season, he's got a little bit of a points lead, which definitely it's got to help him be a little bit more comfortable, just kind of pushing through every week, being sure that he can do it on the weekends.
Well, as we watch our XC1, XC2, and XC3, let's check in real quick with the XC3 and some of our other amateur classes that we've got out here. The Pro-Am class, Jesse Ansley leading this one by only 2 seconds over Cody Barnes. I believe Cody and Jesse probably tangling a little bit in the youth ranks a few years ago, if memory serves me correct. They were around the same time, I believe.
That I'm not really sure about. I know Jesse did end up being a youth overall champion back, I think, with the leave. It was 2014 or 2015. Jesse was the overall champ there, and then he moved up pretty quick, did the 200A class, and then he's moved up to the XC3 class, and he's doing remarkably well there as well.
Jason Langen back in the number 3 spot aboard the 823. Jason Raines in 4th aboard the 916, and Alex Teagard is rounding out your top 10 on that Coastal Racing Husk Barnum machine as we battle our way here through this second lap of racing in the X Factor Whitetails GNCC.
I believe, let's see how much longer before our pro riders are due in. We're about 1 minute and 19 seconds out, so we'll keep an eye on things here close to the finish line, as well as this particular camera shot here near that 9-mile marker coming into the finish region. These guys, was talking, heard the course description, a little bit of a change in the course from what we saw yesterday, as another section, a little tighter section, a bike-only section was added for this afternoon pro race.
Yeah, for sure. We heard Ryan Eccles talking about that at the start. He said he had actually just finished it this morning, getting it for these guys, which means that's going to be extra fresh and really, really nice. We're watching these guys right now on the live feed coming through one of those creek beds into one of those uphills that we were talking about. One of those kind of, as Mikey Waynes was saying, it looks flat until you get out in the woods, and then you see that there's these nice big hills out in the ravines and stuff like that, which those always add a nice little bit of a special challenge for the riders.
And the funny thing about it is they're not just little hills or little molehills, or even if they're not very tall, they're very steep, and I think that's the challenge.
But yeah, for sure. I mean, these hills, none of them are very long, but they're all very steep, and usually you'll get the water out of the creek beds. If there's water down on the bottom, it'll drop on the sides, makes it even slipperier for these guys, which adds an extra challenge to it as well.
Well, I would imagine that we're probably going to be a little bit longer on lap 2 than what we were on lap 1, as we generally start a mile or 2 into the race, and I think we were somewhere near the 1-mile marker today, right?
Yep, I think we missed a whole mile out by the front of the start as well, that was a pretty fast, fun section right there, kind of in between the two field sections as well. It was over by the camping areas for everybody for like pitting and stuff for the amateurs.
All right, so had they ran the same length track, we would have expected them through already, but adding an extra mile, we'll probably be looking at another 2 to 3 minutes. It all depends on the speed. And you rode yesterday, and some of these open field sections, I mean, some of the tight sections you got to go slow, but you can find some speed out there in some of these open sections.
Oh yeah, for sure. Through those fields, you were probably fourth, fifth gear wide open, all you had through the fields, and you were just kind of as fast as you wanted to go. And then in the woods, I was talking to somebody, I was like second or third gear, and just kind of controlling it through the woods, just having a good fun time through the woods, and then in the fields, you guys could go as fast as they wanted to.
For sure, and we've seen some great battles in those fields there yesterday. There's Stu Baylor making his way into the finish line chicane, so he's actually a little farther ahead pace than what I expected. He's only about a little over a minute, so he really found some speed out there on that lap. A lap time of 23 minutes and 23 seconds for Stu Baylor, who seems to be in command and control. He had a 7-second lead at the end of that first lap over the number 1, and now the number 1 8.1 seconds back. Let's see where Ricky Russell happens to be now aboard the number 212, as the Duval, Washington native is pushing hard, trying to keep the pace here today. But, man, I'll tell you, one thing that maybe these riders didn't expect is he checks in nearly 19 seconds back in the third-place position. Actually, it's Thad Duval now 19 seconds back in the number 3 spot as he's gotten around Ricky Russell and is laying charge to it. Let's look at his lap time, a 23:28. Only 5 seconds different than Russell and Stu Baylor, who both turned 23:23s. Stu turned a 23.4 and a 23.9 for Caleb Russell, and a 28.23 for Thad Duval. Again, in traffic, battling, trying to make passes. I had to wonder if maybe Thad might be a little faster than these guys with a little open racetrack out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Thad did remarkably well last year in the mud, and I'm sure he had high hopes to repeat that finish here as well. But yeah, those lappers can definitely play a part in anybody's day, and they can work to your favor, they can work to your disadvantage. And as we watch right now, these guys are cruising down Pro Row, and you can see the lappers are actually getting out of Thad's way, cruising down through there. Because the hard thing is once, for the first guy, you're catching them all, and they don't really expect you. But if you're like the second or third guy, they kind of know that you're coming, and they're more ready for you to be able to be there, and they're more apt to get out of your way.
Trevor Bollinger back in the number 5 spot behind Ricky Russell, the 212 machine now, who is only 7 seconds behind Thad Duval, 9 seconds back to Bollinger. Looking at lap times, nearly identical for Russell and Bollinger right now, so we don't expect a lot of change, at least at the moment, out of those guys. However, I got to say, Bollinger does seem to pick the pace up as the race does wear on, just as does the 314 of Grant Baylor. Baylor out of Belton, South Carolina, younger brother to Stu Baylor, who is currently leading right now, running in the 6th place position with Jordan Ashburn on that Beta machine out of Cookeville, Tennessee. Another 7 seconds back in 8th. Lane Michael, the 523 from Fairmont, West Virginia, on that KR4 Husqvarna is 9th, and Corey Buttrick rounds out the top 10 now on his Husqvarna machine, and that's actually Austin Lee just moved up into 10th place overall, and with that,
he
looks like a new leader in the XC2
Yeah,
Pro.
he is our new leader in the XC2 Pro-Am class. Austin Lee, the hometown, or the Indiana State homeboy, is actually leading the race, which that's pretty awesome for him. He was a youth champ as well, moved up through the ranks, and hopefully he'll be able to get his first win here today. Looks like he's on the way.
That's one thing that he was talking about wanting, and I think we might have heard him allude to that in the interview a few moments ago. Austin Lee, he's been right there. He's ready to do it, and it's not a matter of if he's going to do it. I think it's a question of when, and he's one of those riders, Hunter, and you know what it's like. Once he starts winning, he's going to be tough to stop, because once he gets it figured out, it's a whole game at that point.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a confidence thing, you know. I mean, like, all these guys are just so close, and they all want it so bad. It's all just a little bit of that mental piece that I think Austin's just really looking at getting today.
Through Baylor through. There comes Caleb Russell now, the second place ride, still riding in about that 8-second deficit we see here near the 2-mile marker on this course. And
there's that.
Ooh, that actually may be a little tighter than that 18 seconds now, as he seems to really be aggressive and pushing the envelope right now, just trying to cut that gap. And if you look at it, 26 seconds right now is where he is from the front of the pack to Baylor, where he ultimately wants to be. But he's about to get Caleb Russell in his sights, and once he starts seeing him, he thinks, again, this might be a whole new ball game there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those two, they're pretty close in the championship, and I think that those guys are in an all-out dogfight today, which that'll be interesting. And then Stu, in his pre-race interview, was saying how he liked the harder pack fast tracks, and he said he was ready to go for it today. And I think we're seeing a Stu Baylor that's rejuvenated and ready to go for it.
Josh Cho checking in 12th place overall. He is second place in the XC2 250 class, only 4 seconds behind Austin Lee. I wonder what may have happened there. 24:09 lap time by Austin Lee, the 123, and Josh Toth turned a 24:17. So that's a minimal mistake. I mean, that is hardly anything. But when these guys are riding so close, it seems so monumental at this particular point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, out there, if you make one mistake, you know, you miss one good line, and you've got someone like Austin Lee right behind you, and he capitalizes on it. He's able to gain some time on you, and just definitely, if he can make a pass, you know, it's harder to pass somebody back. It's much easier just to lead, you know, and have them right there than have to say put a pass back together and pass them back.
I'll tell you what, one rider that is hoping to not have to pass anybody back in this now confirmed 8-lap race is Stu Baylor. Baylor up front, he has got the hammer down. You heard him in one of the pre-race interviews. He was talking about how he is upset. Mikey Waynes alluded to that. But, you know, not only that, Stu is also a very calculated rider as well. And, you know, as aggravated and as upset as he is, he's got a game set. He's got a good mindset. He's got a good game plan. And like we say, you know, we had a chance to talk with Stu about, you know, the season and how things are, what his mindset is as we headed into the 6th round of racing.
Yeah, you know, definitely. We kind of found a rhythm there at Florida. That was kind of the best part of the year, the best day I had, and then just had some issues that led to some setbacks there. And since then, you know, I just haven't been happy at the GNCCs with my setup, and we've been trying to search for answers. Just it seems nothing's quite clicking. You know, I need something more. I need something different. You know, I know Caleb and Thad are on better equipment than I can get. I can't afford to pay for it. So, you know, it just some days it eats at me, but we're trying to make the best with what we have, and you know, I think I can win on it. We just got to fine tune it.
Oh, me? Hey guys, Mikey Wayne's down here in the Teely Energy Pits. Stu Baylor off to a great start here this afternoon. Hungry, to say the least. Angry, maybe. Riding angry, maybe that's for the best. I'm here in the pits. We're going to see if we can catch some stories from these guys. And Austin Lee out of the JCR pits right next to me. He's in first place in the XC2. Can he keep that up for the rest of this race? It's 3 hours of gruesome racing here at the X Factor.
Most certainly. Thanks a lot, Mikey Waynes. And as we roll through this now 3rd lap of racing, we are about 53 minutes, just over 53 minutes into this one, and after 2 laps of racing, here's the way things are starting to shape up. A little bit of a change in the XC2 250 Pro class, but through the top 10, and this is overall. We'll actually look at the top 20 for you real quick. Stu Baylor, Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Ricky Russell, and Trevor Bollinger are your top 5.
Grant Baylor in 6th aboard the 314. In 7th now is Jordan Ashburn aboard the number 12. Josh Strang, former GNCC champ himself, and future Papa in the 8th place position. Lane Michael, the 523, is 9th. And Austin Lee, again, leading that XC2 250 Pro class, is 10th place overall. 121 of Corey Buttrick and 11 of Josh Toth, who is 2nd in the XC2 250 Pro class, is 12th overall. Craig DeLong, who is 3rd in that class, only 19 seconds back behind Toth, is 13th overall. And here's something interesting. Ben Kelly, now up to 14th place overall, puts him 4th in class after 2 laps of racing out of Harwinton, Connecticut there. He's only 5.8 seconds behind Craig DeLong. Taking a look at lap times, 24:03 right now for Benjamin Kelly. He's running nearly identical lap times, just a smidge faster than Austin Lee, your leader. So I expect to see Ben Kelly catch up through the pack. Now, the question is, will he be able to track down Austin Lee if Austin stays consistent at this lap time that he's running right now?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Austin Lee's going to be strong here. You know, he does a lot of those IXCR races, and he looks to be a good, strong Indiana boy. You know, he's grown up racing the GNCCs, much like me. You know, he's no stranger to lead these things. It's just going to be a matter of if he can put it together and hold together mentally, him, and physically. You know, if he can keep all the pieces of this puzzle together to hold together through all 8 of these laps.
Well, Nick Davis is rounding out the top 15 and 5th in the XC2 250 Pro class. Liam Draper, another XC2 rider, is 16th. Jonathan Johnson in 17th. Overall, 18th overall, another XC2 250 Pro rider. That is Zach Nolan, the 721. 410, Andrew DeLong on the gas. That Fred Andrews Racing back machine is 19th overall. And the 347 of Evan Smith is out of Jefferson, Georgia, also the XC2 250 Pro class. At the Monster Miles, Stu Baylor making his way in. There is the number 1 and 2nd place right now, Caleb Russell. And you have to wonder what's going on with Caleb Russell. I haven't really seen a lot of aggression out of Caleb. I got to wonder if he's trying to maybe play a little game right now, knowing that he's got a little bit of a buffer with Thad Duvall a little ways back, and knowing that, you know, the inconsistencies that we've seen so far of Stu Baylor. Now, he knows that Stu Baylor is capable of winning, but he also knows, and we know, how Caleb Russell works. That 3rd hour is where he usually goes to work. So it almost kind of looks like he's just kind of laying in wait for hour number 3 almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Caleb probably is definitely hanging back a little bit, you know, not showing all his cards right off the bat, you know, because he's a strong athlete. You know, that 3rd hour is where Caleb usually excels, and he's able to put it together and hold together and just be the man on that last hour.
Well, taking a look at the Open A class now, actually, they're due in for lap 2 complete here in a moment. Let's go back and check in with them here in a moment. Let's check in with 250A is JoJo Bowden out of Lockport, New York. A 21-second lead over the 59 of Dakota DeFleur out of Uricksville, Ohio, riding on that Yamaha. Another 32, almost 33 seconds back to the 414 of Brewer Carley out of Lexington, South Carolina. Bennington, Vermont is home to your 4th place ride. That's Simon Johnson, the 811, and the 570 of Matthew Kiefer, whom we heard from at the beginning of the show out of Monroe Township, Pennsylvania, rounds out the top 5. All righty, I believe we're hearing that Stu had some sort of problem, and we got a replay on this to see what's going on here. There is the Monster Mile.
Yes, yep, Monster Mile.
Oh, I see. That was a little bit of a change. I guess we thought that Stu may have went through ahead of the number 1, but that's not the case, I guess. Now we're starting to see that this is actually Thad Duvall coming through, and they're telling us now that's 2nd place for Duvall.
Okay, so then we must have missed Stu, or Stu might have fallen back to say 3rd or 4th. Actually, there's Stu right there.
Yeah, there
so
he is. And look, he's kind of putting right now. It's like almost there's an issue of some sorts, whether it's physical or mechanical right now. I'm not sure. I'm sure Mikey Wings is going to be trying to hit down the pits and try to get something there in the teeth of the inner pitch, but at the same time, you got to wonder if there's going to be anybody around, because they're going to be trying to get out there and help the ride. Let's head on down to Mikey Wings right now. What's going on, Mikey?
Hey guys, down here at the Tealy pits, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Sounds like a foot peg problem with Stu, and I don't know if it's fallen off completely or what, but it's obviously affecting him out there. So after they just came through the pits too, so it's going to be a little bit before they can get it fixed.
All righty, thanks a lot for that update. Footpeg issue, and it kind of looked like that. Obviously, something hampering his speed, so he's not able to get to plant that foot firmly and ride. So he's going to drop back. Now, what kind of buffer zone was he looking at whenever that happened? As we saw Caleb Russell going around there now to the lead. Duvall has gone around, Let's see, Ricky Russell was only 7 seconds back behind that ball. Bowlers are only another 9 seconds. I'll tell you, wow, they're going to have to be quick whenever they hit the pits with Stu Baylor to get that situation rectified. Maybe they'll do it on the track. Remember, they only have to be in the pits to get fuel. They can work on their bikes, I believe, about anywhere else, if I understand the rules correctly. And, of course, joining us here in the booth is a winner from earlier today, Tyler Palmer, right?
Yeah.
I thought that I got that right. And, wow, Tyler, you're out of North Carolina, if memory serves me correct, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I do know who you are, my friend. And what a race today. I know some misfortunes there by Tyler Whipke and some of those guys out there a little bit ago in your race today. But before that even happened, man, and you were laying chase. You guys had a heated battle in that youth race this morning. Take me through that. Tell me how things went down.
I got a good start, and I had the whole shot. I was right around. Peyton got around, and then Max Fernandez got around. And I was just following them. Peyton fell. I don't know what happened to him. I've heard that he's in the hospital, I think. So, unfortunate for him. But I was just riding with Max, and then he lost his seat, and then I got around him, and I was able to stretch a little bit of a lead, and I was just able to pull away, and then he ended up catching me. It was definitely a fight. It came in close.
That's what I heard. I was sitting and I was listening, and I heard Mikey Waynes go from just a mellow type of announcing we're heading over to the podium. Then all of a sudden, they're pointing over in the field, and then the energy level raised. And when you guys came into sight, I mean, you guys were like back and forth. I mean, side-by-side stuff going on there, huh?
Yeah, it was definitely cool. Definitely really cool.
Awesome. Congratulations to you on that win. What's it feel like to take? Is this your first overall win?
Yeah, it's my first overall win ever. So, yeah, definitely cool.
That is. What class are you at, the YXC1 or 2?
YXC1.
YXC1. Well, man, congratulations to you finally getting that first win. Is it something you're going to want to do a lot in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely would like to keep that going.
All right, Tyler. Good talking to you, man. Congratulations to you. I believe we also had an interview with you following that race there a few moments ago. Maybe we'll catch up to that a little bit. But I think you pretty much told the story right there. Pretty much told the story. Right now, we're watching the Healy Energy pits where we are expecting Stu Baylor, when he comes through here in just a few moments, to stop. They're going to have to do a quick change. We see Alan Gravette's right there. He's ready, and they're going to try to make things happen. And here's that interview we caught up with Tyler with right after the race earlier this morning.
Tyler Palmer, man, first win of the season in absolute epic fashion, man, coming down to the wire in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I got the whole shot. I got passed by them pretty quick. It was like right behind them. And then Peyton made a mistake. I was following Max. Max made a mistake. His seat fell off. Not the way we'd want to win, but we took the win today. So, yeah, it's always good.
You'll take it, man. A win is a win. You got more in the pipeline for later this season?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, there you go. Tyler Palmer with his first win of the year here at the GNCC X Factor.
Congratulations again. How does that feel to see that on TV like that?
That's pretty cool.
You want to see that more in the future, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we do too. Tyler, thanks again, buddy. Good job, and looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you. Tyler Palmer, YXC1. He is our youth class and overall winner from the 8 a.m. class and race this morning. Let's turn our attention back to what's going on out here on the racetrack right now. As we told you, Stu Baylor having some foot peg problems out there. We're expecting him into the pits to do a little bit of a foot peg change and try to get that situation rectified. The one thing that we don't know right now is just exactly how far back Stu Baylor has dropped. Caleb Russell coming up the hill here at the FMF PowerPoint now, and we're rolling through lap number 3 with a new leader, and Caleb has now put the hammer down, it looks like, as he is trying to stretch things out. He had an 18-second lead over Thad Duvall when they checked in at the end of lap number 2, and now I still think that gap is not as big as it was, but we do have quite a bit of a gap. But right now, Thad Duvall is really putting the hammer down, and Stu Baylor is still in the thick of things out there. 13 seconds behind, so he has gained 5 seconds on Caleb Russell. But the impressive thing for me right now is the fact that Stu Baylor, with the mechanical issues that he is having, is still in the thick
and the hunt of things out here. It's amazing, just utterly amazing to me how much this young man can push and how hungry he is to win and do well here in the GNCCs. And, you know, talking with him, you know, he says he feels like he's at a little bit of disadvantage. You know, he's got a lot of support and everything, but, you know, whenever these guys racing against the full-on factory guys like Caleb Russell and of course, Thad Duvall, he says, mechanically, I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball on that, but that only, I think, encourages him to strive so much harder to try to be so much better. And right now you can see that even with the circumstances that he's riding under right now, things are going very well for the South Carolina native. Ricky Russell still back in the 4th place position according to what we're seeing now, and Trevor Bullards rounding out the top 5. We're going to check in with another one of our amateur classes here. I believe we looked at the Open A class and the 250A class there a few moments ago. Actually, we didn't get a chance to look at Open A. They hadn't checked in yet with 2 laps. Now they have, and as they have, Ben Parsons, the 43 from Orlando, Florida, seems to be faring very well here in the soils of Indiana, as he has a 4.8-second lead over the 409 of Kansas City, Kansas's Tucker Smith. Connor Smith, the 36 from Denver, North Carolina, another 26 seconds back in 3rd. 101, Evan Earl from Blacksburg, South Carolina, Yamaha rider, about 46 seconds back and 4th. And Bryce Coster, the 712 from Sorrento, Florida, another 15 seconds back to round out your top 5. Then we have Cook Beckert in 6th. 7th is Tyler Soriano. 8th, Levi Keller, Eric Geis in 9th, and Vincent Smith rounds out your top 10. Now looking at the 200A class, Ryder LeBlanc, the 513 from New Florence, Pennsylvania, a near 7-second lead over the 281 of Michael Baylor Jr. We've seen these guys race in years past in the youth ranks against one another. Here they are tangling in the 200A class as well. Another 5 seconds behind them, Travis Raynaud, the 624, with Chase Colville, the 318 from West Sunbury, Pennsylvania, rounding out 4th, and Dylan Zimpel, the 290 out of Iron Station, North Carolina, former top youth racer as well, rounding out the top 5. Then it's Joe Marsh, 39 in 6th, Ty England in 7th, Landon Lynn in 8th, Zachary Davidson in 9th, and Tyler Centrino rounding out 10th place position in the 200A class. 4-stroke A lights class, Brody Johnson out of Landrum, South Carolina, leading 1 minute and 29 seconds over the 67 Mike DeLosa from Gillette, Pennsylvania. 8:48 Chillicothe, Ohio, and Ohio's first captain there at Chillicothe. Nick O'Brien running in 3rd, about 20 seconds back. 4th place Bolton DeGroff out of Blacktown. I'm trying to say it, Blacktown, North Carolina. 258, I never get it right. The 50 of Connor Keegan out of Cold Center, PA. He's 5th, and in 6th, Nathan Davis. Brendan Bowling, 7th. Braden Moore in 8th. Russell Smith in 9th, and Johnny Manera rounds out your top 10 in the 4-stroke A light class. Junior AB class, Andrew Boggs, the 62 from Masontown, West Virginia. 1 minute and 56-second lead over the 358 of Nick Mellinger from Oakland, Maryland. 17, almost 18 seconds back in 3rd. Junior A class is Tyler Brunton. He's out of Troutman, North Carolina. Lattimore, North Carolina, home to Lucas Towery, and son of our finish line fragger, Ricky Towery, the 544, is running 4th. Sammy Davis, the 825 out of Greenbrier, Tennessee, rounds out the top 5 with Devin Burks in 6th, Dustin Ulrich 7th, Jesse Kidlow is 8th, Brady Stefanik is in the 9th place position, and rounding out the top 10, Casey Belt for your junior AB 25+ class. Vet A class, Sam Forrester, the 42 from Elkton, Maryland, leading 26 seconds over the 542 of Andrew Matusik from Franklin, Georgia. 3rd place, the 403, Andrew Smith from Harrisburg, Missouri. 4th place, the 67 of Jared Hoffman from Southport, Pennsylvania. 5th spot, the 360 of Sterling Amancio from Connecticut. I think he might have got the early lead. But now 5th place, 187 of Louis Oleon from Lancaster, Ohio. 831, Bill Zabendi from Cabot, Pennsylvania is 7th place. And we got another A class we can take a look at here, the senior A40+ class, with riders like Frank Messina, the 589 out of Campbell Hall, New York, with a 43-second lead over Rick Burt, the 44 from Westville, Indiana. Larry Sylvia, the 720 from Monticello, Georgia, 1 minute, 10 seconds back. Shotgun, Sean Remington, the father of pellet gun, Sean Remington. Little fella, he cracks me up. 69 of Remington out of New Salem, PA, runs 4th. John Beaver, the 418 from Gray, Tennessee, in the 5th place position. It's Frank Tussle in 6th. Gregory Richardson in 7th. Bob Bergman rounds out 8th place in the senior A40+ class. Joining us in the booth now is the voice of the IXCR and very good friend of mine, Mr. What was your name again?
Well, they call me Moto Mike.
That's right. No, I know this guy very well. Mike Brown. It's like every time I meet you, you reintroduce yourself. It's kind of a fun thing that we brought together, I think, as announcers. But we always act like we don't know who each other is. But we know so well and respect each other so well what we do. And Mike, Moto Mike, welcome here to an IXCR co-sanction here in the great state of Indiana, man. Glad to have you out.
You bet. Thank you for allowing me to stop up here in the announcer's condo. Beautiful setup here in Peru, Indiana. Of course, X Factors, what a wonderful facility they have led us to ride on. And what a great race we have developing today, Rodney.
No doubt. Now, I understand the IXDR actually having a race here already earlier this year. Or was that late last year that you guys ran?
That was late last year. We actually got some good weather for this piece of property, so we were able to sneak a good race in. I know the first attempt was a little wet, second attempt was a little wet, and boy, look what we have today.
I tell you, they say third time's a charm, I guess. At least second time's a charm for us here, and you guys coming in maybe kind of helped even out the pattern for us a little bit.
Well, I seen Tim Cotter a little earlier today. I said, Tim, looks like IXCR's taking it this year with the weather, so we've had a couple of muddy rounds. You know, we'll give it up and let the National Series get a good weather here.
Well, we appreciate your courtesy, Mike Brown. We most certainly do. All in all, things seem to be pretty strong in IXCR country right now. Caleb Russell now at the finish. Sorry about that. Let's check in and see what's going on as far as deficits here in just a moment. Looks like, we'll get the lap times as they'll be coming in. Russell, a 23:39, a little off pace from a lap ago, but he's out front, not being pressured any whatsoever. 23:23 was Stu Baylor's lap time last time around, and we had an 18-second lead. We had reports that had been shaved down to 13 seconds, and now it's 17.4 seconds between Russell and Duvall, and back in that number 3 spot, there is Baylor. Ricky Russell in 6.6 seconds back in third. So, wow, things have really switched around quite a bit. Stu Baylor is in 3.5. You see Thad Duvall is making his way into the pits. A quick gas stop for him, a fresh pair of goggles. Ricky Russell getting a fresh pit stop, a little gas, and 8 laps of racing. Stu Baylor coming in for a pit stop now. This could change the face of this race. He's going to step back for a moment. They've got the tools. Can AG. We heard from his mechanic a little bit ago, Alan Gravette. This is why they pay him the big bucks right now, Moto Mike.
That's no doubt about it. A normal pit stop, not so normal, because you see the riders step off the right-hand side of the bike. Look how fast that went, Rodney. That is crazy.
That is crazy. Less than a minute. I wish you would have put a stopwatch on that, but I believe that was every bit less than a minute. He gets out. He's still ahead of Trevor Bollinger. Look at this. Grant Baylor has checked in the number 5 position. Oh, GB is really starting to make things happen out there, it looks like.
You know, looking at live timing, what is that? Less than 30 seconds or so for the top 5, top 7 riders. So, as we know, this is going to be a 3-hour event, and it's just catting and mousing right now as these guys start to settle things out. They are a little over an hour into it. Hour and 11 minutes is what I'm showing.
Josh Strang fresh out of the pit stop there at the Rockstar Husqvarna pits as we head down our Monster Energy Pro Road, BP Fuels Pro Road. There we go. Josh Strang hard on the gas right now as we look at his position on the racetrack. 7th place according to timing and scoring right now. 18 seconds behind Trevor Bollinger. Bollinger 19 seconds behind Grant Baylor, who was 11 seconds behind Stu. So here's the thing. I have to think that Grant did probably and likely get around. I'm not sure if Trevor got around or whether they were signaling for Austin Lee to come in down around those Honda pits as well. So it looked like that Stu may have gotten out ahead of Trevor Bollinger, but I can't swear to that right now.
Well, definitely a lot of action going on. This is the pit stop time as a couple of riders having some issues and having taken a little extended stop. But as the riders check in, switching positions, getting a little refreshment, some goggles, and back into the race. It's still amazing to me, these top 10 riders, be it in XC1 or XC2, they are all, it looks like definitely within a minute of each other.
Oh, yeah, most certainly. They are very tightly knit right now. And joining us back in the studio, Hunter Hart from yesterday's XC2 Pro-Am ATV racing action. He also raced a 2-wheeler earlier today, did you not?
No, I kind of put the ATV or the motorcycles aside for this year and basically just focusing on the ATVs, just kind of having fun with that.
2-mile marker right now. Caleb Russell making his way through. Russell, then Duvall. Ricky Russell is in the number 3 spot. Stu Baylor. Actually, this will be a good chance for us to gauge that, to see exactly where Grant and Stu and where Trevor Bollinger happen to be falling right now as far as this overall is concerned. There is Thad Duvall now at the 2, still about that 17, 18 second deficit between he and the number 1 ride in first place position. Ricky Russell should be checking in like almost immediately. There in a Honda ride. I don't know if that was
Bollinger.
Yeah, I was going to say what looked like maybe Bollinger. So we'll see whether or not. I still haven't figured out whether he got around Stu Baylor yet or not. That's the big question that I'm trying to get sorted out right now.
Nope.
While you're
There's
sorting everything out
Stu.
there, I'm just going to give a big shout out to Austin Lee. He's an IXCR guy. He's out there in front.
Yeah.
Hometown hero, starting to make the charge here for the XC2 division.
Yeah, he's out front. We've been talking a lot about him, but I do want to point out Stu Baylor did come through, it looked like, and he still maintained a 4th and 5th place position, so he's still ahead of Bollinger, and that, man, that's impressive stuff right there. As is Austin Lee here in his hometown. This is one thing we were talking about, Mike. He has yet to get an XC2 250 Pro Class win. He's been on the podium. But to get that would be a very monumental thing, I think, happening for him.
Yeah, he was on the podium the last round of GNCC. We had an IXCR round. He did great. The first quarter lap had a little issue, so he wasn't able to complete that race. Now he's back with the vengeance, and he wants to capture a win in his town.
Well, as we check in right now, 3 laps down, our top 20 overall. I'm going to look back a bit further. You know, we talk about top amateur classes a lot, and one thing we haven't talked a lot about today is amateur classes. Pro-Am included the XC3 class, and wow, looking down through the top 20 right now, it's 31st place before we see our first FMX 125 XC3 class rider, Jesse Ansley, the 31st place overall, leading the class by only 1.7 seconds. And we're missing a good race right there, I think, whenever you start breaking it down like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jesse Ansley, he comes from Florida, so, you know, all this dirt's a little bit different for him from the sand, but I think he does well in the dry conditions, you know. I mean, he's no stranger to racing a motorcycle. That's what he's done all his life. He's grown up doing that, and he's definitely ripping in that XC3 class. You know, that's always close with him and Jason Raines as well. Those guys swap out every week, and then you can also get some local guys come in and throw a wrench in their plans a little bit as well.
Well, we saw checking in there just a few moments ago our top 10 in these classes. We're talking about these the FMF XC3 class in particular right now. Listen to this. 1.775 seconds between first and second. Another 3 seconds back to third, 3 seconds back to fourth. And those top 4 riders, whenever you start putting it together, 7 seconds, maybe just a little over 7 seconds separating the front 4 riders. That's a tightly knit race.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That 125 race.
Let's head down to the pits real quick. Mikey Baines is down TV Energy pits once again.
Thanks, guys. Boy, we're living in here today. Well, Todd Ely, man, we're going to talk about that Stu Baylor pit. But I've got to remind you, you're in the state of Indiana. It's the month of May. Racing is in our blood here in the Hoosier State. And I'm telling you, the Indy 500 better paid attention to that pit stop you just had with Stu. What did you guys do out there?
We had to put a new cotter pin in his foot peg pin. It was coming up out, and I guess he got a little fixed in the woods there too, so we just finished it up.
So he's in good shape now.
Good shape now.
So he's got to channel that inner Stu Baylor, get back out front, guys.
Well, that was kind of and you think about a 2-stage process that went on for him. They said they did a little bit for him out in the woods, and then they finished it up. There's Stu Baylor right there at the most mile.
Nope.
Not Stu. Okay, I got a wrong cue on that one. Not Stu. Okay, but regardless, Stu, they did a very wise thing there. You think about it, they did it in 2 stages. They did the initial stop, got the part likely changed out on the track, and then when they came around, they finished it off, tightened it up, and secured it. And while doing so, they lose very little time. I think a brilliant strategy on the Teely Energy pit's part.
Team definitely has it going on. You know, as you said, Rodney, they evaluated it, did a quick fix, and then once he got back to the pit area, they were able to do the final adjustment and put him back on his way.
I think we need a camera on the finish line right now, as we are expecting Jesse Ansley and Cody Barnes in that less than 2-second battle, the 37 and the 99. here in the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class.
There goes Jesse right now, actually down pro row. We just saw him come by the booth right now. He's cruising through right now.
And 17.5 seconds. How do you do that? Jesse Ansley. Wow, Jason Raines up from 4th to 2nd place. Now, as we told you, only 6 seconds separated the front 4, and now it's 17 seconds back to 2nd, and Jason Raines was that 4th place driver. So we're back here at the Monster Mile watching this section. Now, talk a little bit about this section here, Hunter Hart. You rode it yesterday on the ATV. What's so monster about this mile?
So the Monster Mile was pretty sweet. We rode, basically we dropped in off a ravine, rode up a ravine, popped back around, did a little bit of a horseshoe, came back through another ravine, went up a nice little valley there. Then we popped out, rode up there's actually Caleb right now going through the Monster Mile. And there he goes. He looks like he's actually jumping up that hill, which looks to be a little smoother and faster. We saw them open that line on the first lap, and they've been using that one pretty consistently ever since. And then if we looked off to the side there, that looked like that was Thad's dad actually cheering him on, giving him some encouragement out there as well.
Well, I'll tell you, that line that we're seeing that you're talking about opened up. We saw that open up late yesterday in the ATV race. Walker Fowler hit that line on the last lap. So did Chris Borch. So did the rest of the top 5 in the XC1 class. And those were the only guys all day long to go up that part of the hill.
Yeah, I definitely missed that one on the last lap.
So here we go. Monster Mile action. Is this Russell? Yes,
yes,
it is.
that's Ricky.
Ricky Russell making his way in on the 212 machine now. And again, Russell checking in that 3rd place position. He was 6 seconds back. Stu Baylor should be checking in now.
Yep, there's Stu right there going up that line we were just talking about.
So Baylor was 3 seconds back. We're starting to see that open. And you got to remember, that was at the finish line. That's the gap that's happened since the footpeg change and alteration in the pits there. So
yes.
Actually, I think that Stu may be closing up a little bit on Ricky. Ricky has lost a little bit of time on the front runners too. So Stu could see a podium position strike here pretty soon. And once he gets in podium position, you got to wonder, is he going to go after those front 2 guys? We heard it. He's aggravated. He's angry. He wants to win, and he's riding like he's mad. When he rides mad, look out.
No doubt about it. Baylor being a little ticked off. Attention podium. He's coming at it. So.
Hard and fast. There's no doubt about it.
Here's Caleb on that hill I was actually talking about right out of the ravine. That was one of the good ones right before the 5-mile marker, right at the 5-mile marker, I should say. We ran up this long creek bed yesterday, kind of jumped off a couple little ones into the water sections, and then just cruised out, made a nice tight right-hander, and then straight up this valley, and then we cruised out, actually went to another creek bed after this section. That was pretty gnarly as well, with a couple nice-sized rocks in there.
So did you encounter much wetness yesterday at all? Is it all pretty much dried up right now?
Yeah, I mean, the creeks, there wasn't much. I mean, there was the occasional spot that had a little bit of water, but other than that, there was nothing really, just a little bit of mud in the creek bottoms. Other than that, it was dry and tacky and really nice.
Well, taking a look at this course here through the Monster Mile, there's Ricky Russell coming through again on this section, still following Thad Duvall. He was following Caleb Russell right now. Waiting, here comes, should be coming Stu Baylor about right now, if my calculations are correct.
Yep, yeah, there's Stu going up the hill.
And I tell you folks, we're only approaching the halfway point of this race. About an hour and 21 minutes or so, according to my calculations, is what we are into this race. And at the halfway point, we're starting to feel the heat start to rise a little bit, guys. This is the hottest it's been all weekend, well, at least since probably Thursday or Friday anyway. And Hunter, you know, you guys have been training a lot. I know a lot of these guys have been training down south. Is this heat going to have an effect on anybody today? Do you think people have pretty much acclimated themselves to it by this point?
I'd say that it'll probably affect a couple people, but I mean, at the level that these guys are racing at, you know, they come into here and they started training for this heat months ago, you know, and they started their water preparation and their hydration the Monday before a race, you know, like if they're starting the Thursday or Friday before, they're not doing much other than just kind of depleting themselves, and they all know that, you know, they come into here, they all have their own little like tricks that they like to do before the race, and I think that the heat's kind of, you know, like the heat's, I definitely prefer a nice hot race, you know, if it's cold, you're kind of not awesome, but I mean, the heat's definitely a nice factor to have, you know, a nice hot dry race is definitely better than a cold wet one.
Well, the heat is a factor. Is it the X Factor? What is the X Factor here at X Factor Whitetails GNCC this weekend? Well, another hour and 40 minutes may present that answer to it. Stick around. GNCC Live will continue here in just a few moments. It's Caleb Russell leading Thad Duvall. Ricky Russell in the number 3 spot. Stu Baylor is 4th. Grant Baylor in 5th. Trevor Bollinger 6th. Josh Strang 7th. 8th. Jordan Ashburn. Austin Lee 9th. Josh Toth rounding out in the top 10. We'll be right back.
The halfway point is here, and these riders have endured over an hour now of hard battling through the woods at extremely high heart rates, the type the average athlete couldn't even fathom for this level of distance. Can they stick with it to the end? Don't click that X. GNCC Live on RacerTV.com continues after this.
Whether you are looking for a 150 class or 600 class deer, X Factor Whitetails can suit your needs. We offer guided weapon of choice hunts for all groups of all sizes. From the time you arrive at our location, you'll get the 5-star service. We boast the capability of sleeping over 20 people comfortably. Book your hunt today. Call 765-244-0170 or go to xfactorwhitetails.com.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here from Peru, Indiana. And the X Factor Whitetails as Caleb Russell makes his way through the FMF PowerPoint. Rodney Topp along with Hunter Hart today. And, of course, Mikey Wayne's out and about in the pits. We also have talked with the voice of IXCR, Moto Mike Brown, in booth with us today. And we have seen one heck of a race already starting to develop here. Thad Duvall into that number 2 position. Now, one thing we haven't seen is that close-knit racing that we've seen in the last few races between Thad Duvall and Russell, but it looks like that Thad, not getting the start that we normally see him get, has really done a great job, Hunter Hart, playing catch-up at this point as we see him work his way through the pack up to the 2nd place position.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's got to be hard to make passes. You know, like all these guys are running so fast, and they all know the good lines. You know, it's almost like Thad has to plan his pass a lap in advance before he can even make one. And yeah, I mean, I think Thad's definitely on the move right now. Like once he gets a sight of Caleb, I think he'll be able to definitely maybe not run him down, but get in sight with him. You know, to where he's able to put a little bit of pressure on Caleb.
Did it look like that Baylor was a little closer to Ricky Russell that time? I thought so too, yeah. So Baylor is closing up gap there, it looks like, as he is working out of a deficit that he got himself into. And you have to wonder, and I know there's always those questions, if he had not ran into that issue or that problem, what would this race be breaking down like? Again, that's part of the X Factor, you know what I'm saying? And again, the big part of the X Factor, I don't even think we've seen yet. We saw the X Factor yesterday, late in the race as far as XC1, ATV Pro Racing was concerned. And I wouldn't be surprised if the X Factor doesn't wait till the third and final hour in this one as well to present itself and to show us the excitement that we're expecting here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this place is definitely known to hold some big secrets, and I think that it's holding out for us. Just as they said, we're going to be a 7-lap race now, which will be a good make it exciting for everybody involved. And I feel that there's definitely going to be some good hard racing in these last couple of laps.
Good point. And once again, we did an 8-lap race, but through timing and scoring, they see that things have changed a little bit. So now we're on track for a 7-lap race. Now, we saw these riders pit, and we saw this yesterday on lap 3. Yesterday, I thought that seems a little early, but at the same time, if you win another lap, it would have been a little longer. One thing that a lot of riders didn't elect to do was a 2 pit stop strategy. I almost have to think today, Hunter, with it being a 3-hour race, I'm not sure the gas mileage difference between a 2-wheeler and a 4-wheeler, but I would almost have to think that to be on the safe side of things, we'd be looking for 2 pit stops today, would you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, yesterday we were the first ones to do the double pit for the ATV side. I double pitted. I had pitted on the 2nd and the 5th lap because we didn't want to run out of fuel, and we figured we'd take the extra couple seconds just to be safe on the gas so that we didn't have any issues later on in the race, like we saw with almost the top 5 nearly running out of fuel. You know, like a lot of those guys were saying that they're at the 9-mile marker and they were starting to actually shut off and run out of fuel, to where what we saw with Walker, where he had that very dramatic finish yesterday, and Chris and those guys were all very close to being out of fuel because they waited so long, or they waited too soon to pit, and they ended up almost costing themselves a big majority.
Well, I tell you what, we certainly talk about the X Factor, having an X Factor, and it does in a lot of different ways. And we talk about the racing end of it, but you know, coming here to the X Factor, it gets its name because that's what it is in the world of hunting. A huge X Factor, and there's big rates, big racks out here, and all the great things that go on here. Well, I'll tell you what, Rachel Goodish caught up with the owner here at X Factor Whitetails, and got a really good interview at him. So let's go ahead and
head
into
what they had to say.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Rachel Goodish here with Russ, the property owner here at the X Factor GNCC. So tell me a little bit about how you got started with this place.
I used to go to Canada, Alberta, Canada, to deer hunt. And I'd get on that plane, and they'd be 250 hunters on that plane, and I'd meet them and stay 10 days and come back, and a lot of those hunters would still be, they'd be crying, they'd be tickled to death, they'd be froze to death, they starved to death. So I bought a semi-load, I fenced in 1,700 acres here and started breeding my herd from Alberta, Canada. And a few years later, I come up with a deer, found a deer that was named X Factor. So I bought him, and he grew to be the world record whitetail deer in 2010. And I named him X Factor, and that's how we got the name X Factor Ranch.
Gotcha. And what was he scored as again?
510 inches.
Now, for reference, what's a good wild deer shot in the wild score at?
A good one would be 140.
That's really impressive. And our overall winners are actually going to win some of those antlers, you say?
Yes. This trophy back here, this is a 2-year-old deer, and those are sheds off of a 2-year-old deer, and we put them on that fake skull, and that'll be given to one of the winners here.
Very cool. Thank you very much for your time, Russ, and back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thank you very much, Rachel. And I'll tell you what, that trophy is one that a lot of guys want. Thad Duvall wants that trophy pretty bad right now. I talked to him earlier today, and he was thinking about that. And we got Thad Duvall still in that second place position. Grant's in second. Wow, what happened there? Grant Baylor around Stu Baylor, Ricky Russell, and Thad Duvall to take over the second place position. And now Thad is 5 seconds behind Grant Baylor, man. What in the world? What X Factor took place out there for that to happen, Hunter Hart?
I don't know. I wasn't sure if Grant pitted that last lap. And if he didn't pit, maybe it was a pitting strategy that they did a little differently to allow Grant to close up. If they saw he was gaining some time somewhere on him, that would help for Grant to be able to close in and get a little within striking distance. And I don't know. We're gonna have to play out. I saw they were at the 9-mile marker, so they'll be at the finish here within the minute. So we'll be able to see what they've got going on.
Well, you look at it. 23:34 was the lap time that Grant Baylor turned last time around. Stu, his brother, obviously having to stop and so forth. 24:15, 23:37 for Ricky Russell, 23:38 for Thad Duvall, and a 23:39 for Caleb Russell. So Grant Baylor actually turning a little bit quicker clip than everybody out there. 5 seconds faster than even your leader, Caleb Russell, right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was saying, that this place kind of produces results that nobody really expected, and it'd be crazy if we could see Grant Baylor push to the front, you know, like he's been doing. And
coming to the finish right now is the number 1 of Caleb Russell.
Yep. Yeah. Just how Caleb is doing, we're gonna have to keep watching and see if it's Grant still in second right now. Yes, yeah, that's Grant Baylor right there in second.
And he is closed up. We've seen a 17-second gap between Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall. That is closer than 17 seconds. My gosh, look at this. Grant Baylor is riding a rocket today. He's down to 12 seconds behind Caleb Russell. Lap time, 23 minutes, 12 seconds. Again, a good point there. What was the pitting strategy? If he did not pit, wow, that paid huge dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. If he didn't pit this time in, he had to pit this lap. He opted out of the pit last lap, which allowed for him to jump up to second, and we're going to have to see if that strategy worked well enough for him to be able to keep that lead,
well,
not his lead, but his second.
I can tell you right now, it worked. It paid huge. It got him from that 4th, 5th place position, 5th place position up to a 2nd place position, and wow, what a move there on the Grant Baylor pits there. Great strategy. We see 8 seconds behind him right now. Is Thad Duvall checking in? You have to wonder, will Thad get back by him here in that pit stop that Grant Baylor, I believe, was taken there on that particular lap? This certainly opens up a whole new can of worms, I think, as far as this battle is concerned, especially how much time that we see Grant Baylor close up even on Caleb Russell right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know the average pit takes anywhere from 8 to 12 seconds with or without goggles, so that kind of gives us an idea of how much time Grant had between Thad. And I know these guys they're the best of the best at doing everything on the pro level, and that Telia is definitely going to be all, and they've got to be pretty pumped right now to have the 2 Baylor brothers, I believe, within at least the top 10 and possibly the top 5 right now. And I'm sure that those guys are pumped, getting those guys ready to go and make sure that they're ready to contest for maybe the win and hopefully some podium spots today.
I almost have to think right now Grant Baylor is positioning himself here as we head toward the last race, an hour and 35 minutes into this X Factor Whitetails GNCC. Russell's, we told you, a 23:38, 23:12 for Grant Baylor, a 12.4 second deficit. In calculations and in theory, you have to think that Grant Baylor should be ahead of Caleb Russell at the end of the next lap if you're looking at timing and scoring, and that stays consistent. The one thing that we do know about the inconsistency of that is that once Caleb Russell feels that pressure coming in, he's going to light a wick, and he's actually going to turn it up a little bit more, I'm sure, and that's where the X Factor starts to play in again.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one thing to catch Caleb Russell. It's another complete thing to pass him. And there's actually the pit board that said for Grant Baylor, it says -1 second for the overall win, and that gets anybody pumped up, especially somebody like Grant Baylor.
Well, I don't know about -1 second. He is -12 seconds, but that right there, like you say, is certainly enough to get someone inspired heading into this final stretch in this X Factor GNCC. We see Bollinger is checked in behind Stu Baylor in 6th place. We see Josh Strang now in 7th place, waiting for the 8th place ride to check in. That was Josh Toth now back to the lead in the XC2 250 Pro class. Jordan Ashburn still waiting on him. And what about Austin Lee? Corey Buttrick is in. And Indiana race fans, I'm sure, sitting on the edges of their seats right now, wondering what's going on with their boy, 123, Austin Lee. He did have the lead at the end of lap number 3. Thad Duvall back into the number 2 spot as he's gotten around Grant Baylor, it looks like, so already changes coming back again.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like they're definitely gonna shuffle around a little bit this next lap to kind of get back to not where they think they're gonna be, but we actually just had Neil coming in and telling us about how he was shredding through, how Grant Baylor looked like he was shredding through the gas tracks, and definitely he's got to be doing something right today to be able to be closing time on Caleb Russell. And right here we've got Austin Lee hitting right now, and he's a hometown boy that we've been talking about all day. It looks like they're actually pounding off on his front brakes right now, which means he might have dumped it this last lap. We're going to have to see if he's still getting the XC2 points, or not XC2 points, but the XC2 race right now.
Getting a report right now that we got a downed rider out there right now. We're talking Jordan Ashburn. Not sure what the extent of that is, but unfortunately, he down on this lap right now. They're hopefully going to get him back up and into this race. We'll try to get a report on that coming up here shortly with Mikey Waynes down in the beta pits. But right now, we'll wait to see and hopefully see Jordan Ashburn trekking around here in a few moments. It's been a while since we had a chance to look back at that XC2 250 Pro class as we see Toth, Lee, DeLong, they're all in the top 10. Ben Kelly as well. Let's break them down in the XT2 250 Pro class for you. After 4 laps of racing complete, Josh Toth with now a 30-second, maybe a little bit more since Austin Lee stopped for a pit stop there. 30-second plus lead over Austin Lee. Craig DeLong, 1.4 seconds back. You have to think that maybe he might have made a pass there. Benjamin Kelly, another 3 seconds back. And, man, that makes it tough to go for Austin Lee. When you start seeing riders like Craig DeLong and Benjamin Kelly that close behind, and he had to make that pit stop, wow, the last part of this race, strategy is going to play huge when it comes to having to pit stop possibly one more time before the checker flag flies on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I know that for me as a racer, you know, the first half is definitely kind of like the pace off of where you are, and then the second half is to kind of get you set for whatever you've got to go on for that last little bit.
Well, I know that Mikey Waynes is standing by, and he might have an answer to some of these questions we have. Mikey?
Hey, guys, get you updated on Austin Lee and the JCR pits right now. I can confirm. You may have seen it during the pit stop. Not sure what was on the broadcast, but he was having some trouble with that front brake lever. They were beating the dickens out of it, if you will, and getting it worked back up into the right position. So apparently Austin Lee, he must have went down pretty hard on the last lap. Didn't seem to affect him too much, but now he's got some time to make up with the pit stop added on top of that.
Exactly. We were talking about the 30 seconds that he had. He had only 4 seconds over third and fourth place position. So I have to assume at this point that Austin has likely dropped to a fourth place position. But that's not a given just yet. The other two may have had to pit too. So I don't know what everybody's pitting strategy is as we welcome Wheels, a.k.a. Jason Todd, here into the studio with us, our actual social media guru here in the GNCC Racing Nation. Welcome out to the racetrack and welcome to RacerTV, buddy. I know we talked to you a little earlier, but what are you thinking about this X Factor?
Well, I was just out watching one of the grass tracks, and, man, I want to see some of these guys' moto. Like, the way that they can corner. I know you guys were just talking about Baylor and Duvall, how they were catching up to Russell. And I don't know what the time said on the sheet, but they were not far off of them. They both came by me, like I was trying to video, and it was like, boom, boom, all everywhere. So,
wow.
If they keep going the pace they're going, we're in for a show when this thing comes down for sure.
There you go. That's our X Factor, and that's what we're hoping for is a show here in Peru, Indiana, and that's what we bank on every time we go to a GNCC race. And Wheels, I think you may be right. I think we are setting the stage for a big show. It seems like everything, the drama builds, so much things have changed throughout the course of this weekend, but the real stick comes right there in that final lap, right there in those closing moments. We saw it yesterday with that dramatic finish, and I hope we can pull that up for the two-wheel guys to see that, the fans to see that dramatic finish that we had with that four-way shootout all day long between the top 4 XC1 ATV pros. But 0.4 of a second was all that it was at the end of that one whenever they crossed the finish line. Unfortunately, there were a few other things that went on, but regardless, wow, what a dramatic finish. We've seen that this morning in the 8 o'clock youth race, a dramatic finish in that one. I expect that we're going to see that here this afternoon.
I don't want to make any bold predictions, but
Caleb Russell out here at the Monster Mile and there's that Duvall. You're right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Look how much closer that is this time around to Caleb Russell there, and waiting now for, I guess it would be Grant Baylor is who we would expect to see in third.
Yeah, there's Grant right there. That was Grant Baylor that we just saw actually go by. I do believe I saw the blue flag here on the orange KTM.
Radio. So what were you going to say there?
I just think it's awesome how there's like an accordion effect, because when I saw them just 5 minutes ago, they were all right on each other. They get into the woods, and it seems like sometimes they spread out. So either one or two things are going to happen. Either this one's going to come down to just a photo, throw a blanket over him, or Russell's going to go, are you guys silly? You're not catching me, and click up find 6th gear on that bike.
We've seen that happen before.
Yep, there goes, as those two were talking, I was watching through, it was Caleb Russell, and then Thad Duvall, and then Grant Baylor were the top 3 right now going through for the XC1 and the overall.
Wow, I tell you, Grant Baylor needed a day like today, and he's been so very quiet. It's been a couple of races since I've actually talked to him personally, and, well, maybe actually last race I might have had a chance to talk for a few minutes. But the one thing that I do know is he's not happy, he's not satisfied. He seems... Well, where his brother is angry, he seems to be a little hurt, and maybe, and that's the, and I guess that kind of angers him as well, and that may be what's firing him up right now.
Yeah, for sure. Right there, we've got Ricky Russell coming by, but yeah, I definitely think that the Baylor brothers have a good thing where like they can kind of pace off each other, and one of them can kind of be like, hey, you doing okay this week? If like one of them's kind of gapping out more than they think they should on the other brother, and that'll definitely help to keep those two, always pushing through. You've seen them, another group of kids that have come up through the youth ranks, just kind of step their way up through the XC2. They're both XC2 champions as well, and they're just working on that XC1 hopefully championship one day as well.
Well, we used to talk about the Baylor boys and what it would be like to watch them in the XC1 class someday, and then whenever they finally did make it to the XC1 class together, everybody's hopes were kind of let down because of the injuries that Stu Baylor had been suffering through over the course of what seemed like several years, and the healing process and the heal time. And quite honestly, I don't think a lot of people expected to see Stu Baylor come back, at least not to the level that he has made it back to. I think that win a little over a year ago at Big Buck, that right there was the switch flipper for Stu, and it was the eye-opener for everyone else in the GNCC Racing Nation that says that Stu Baylor is not going to be denied, regardless of whether or not he's got those career-ending type injuries or not.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Stu Baylor definitely proved that he's one tough guy. He showed that even through the adversity and stuff like that, he was able to push through, and he's able to keep going on, and hopefully we'll see him today after the race eating an ice cream, because that's what he does when he has a good day.
It sure is. And right now, Caleb Russell, last check, 12.4 seconds. We've seen him going through those last couple of shots. They're well within 10 seconds, I think, Hunter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the camera guy, he's barely panning off Caleb, and he's right back on a Thad. And then a little bit after those two, you've got Grant back there. I think Grant's probably anywhere from the 10 to 15 second mark, and I'd give Thad probably the 5 to 10 window on Caleb.
About another 30 seconds back to Ricky Russell, who was 4th place when we checked in last, with Stu Baylor only 8 seconds behind him. I have to think that Stu is...
Yep, there's Josh Toth right now.
Yeah.
He's our XC2 leader as well.
Yeah. We talk about the aggressive riding, and I mentioned it a few moments ago that, we're used to seeing these guys so tightly knit and so intense on the racing. And though we haven't seen it yet, looks like it's leading up to that. And what's really cool, and I even talked to Thad Duvall about it a little earlier today, but Caleb Russell's been actually releasing some of the helmet cam footage that he has. And here it is. I think we're watching.
This is from a couple weeks ago in Society Hill, South Carolina, at the Camp Coker Bullet, our previous round.
And you see what happened here. Boom.
Oh.
They come together, and Caleb gets around him. Now watch what happens next. He lets him go right back by. That's the kind of camaraderie and sportsmanship we see out there. I know, there it is, boom. They come together. Caleb has the chance to get by, but he does not let it happen. I mean, he's like, he knows better. He knows he doesn't want to be ridden against like that, so he's not going to do that intentionally. So I think that's great to see that kind of camaraderie between those guys. And, I think that Caleb would probably afford that kind of courtesy to just about anybody that races him clean, And, of course, we had, like I said, I had a chance to talk to Thad about it, and here's his take on the whole situation.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of respect between the both of us when we're racing, just try not to do anything stupid, and I think it might have been a little bit of both of our faults. I turned down early to miss the bumps, and he was going to rail the turn, so, he hit me, and it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I knew he was there, but it was he did the respectful thing and let me go, and I thought I broke my foot like for the next couple miles. I couldn't even feel my toes. He hit me so hard, but you know, in the end, we just two guys trying to make a living and try to win. And you know, it's cool that he let me back by. And you know, I think we put on a show on the moto track that lap because we were trying to pass each other and everything else. And you know, it's at the end of the day, I think we want to win so bad we're going to do anything. And you know, I feel like no hard feelings. I think it was both of our faults for sure. And you know, whereas a lot of things go on in the woods that people don't see. So that's just, it was cool that, you know, they got to see kind of what goes on. And, you know, there's been some good racing between me and Caleb this year. So it's cool the fans get to see it, and it's cool that he runs the GoPro and kind of shares the experience for sure. Yeah, you know, I
Total respect amongst those two riders.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good key thing between those two, you know, because I mean, those two could go out every weekend and just be like, yeah, I'm just going to take the other guy out and just get him out of my way. But you know, they don't do that because I mean, they know that the next weekend, you know, if it was Caleb and Thad and they got taken out, you know, they know that they're opening a door and they're giving up valuable points to somebody, say like Stuart Grant, who they're not out of striking distance, but they're just a little bit back, and that would open the door for them to be able to capitalize on that. And if they're both out of the championship, neither of them, as they said, are making a living, and that's what those guys are out here to do, is just race motorcycles, have fun, and hopefully go home with some money in their pockets at the end of the day.
2 words: Robbins, race it.
Amen. Amen.
That was a perfect example right there. Caleb could have ended his day.
And I was going to point that out. Remember a couple of years ago at Tomahawk, whenever Caleb and Josh got together. Yep. They had a little bumping incident. And remember the fuel?
The fuel pump, the KTM fuel pump, or the fuel piece on the bottom of the tank actually broke off, and Caleb couldn't finish the day.
Right. You know, and unfortunately, you know, whether or not it was intentional, things accidentally happen like that sometimes. And what would have been really unfortunate is if Thad would have actually had the broken foot that he thought that he might have had after they got together on that. Thankfully, that wasn't the case, and they get to go racing like this again today. And I have a feeling, that 12-second gap that we're seeing now down less than 10 seconds, this is going to get like this.
Oh, wow, there they are. They were all clustered right together. It was Caleb and then Thad within the same camera shot at the FMF PowerPoint.
Wow, I just saw that, and I just can't believe it. You know, I'm announcing it, I'm foreseeing it coming. I mean, it's all right here written out before us, but when you see it, you still don't believe what's happening right now.
Yeah, and then there goes Grant Baylor up the FMF PowerPoint as well. He looks to be like 15, 20 seconds back as he was before, but the big shocker is that Thad's actually closing in. He's within probably... I mean, he saw Caleb at the top of that hill, and Caleb was at the top, Thad was at the bottom. You know, they're right together, neck and neck now, and this is where it's going to get interesting.
And lap traffic is starting to play a little bit of a role in this. We've seen some lap riders right there ahead of them, and they have, as close as these guys race, we've seen lap traffic actually be a factor in the overall outcome.
We're actually right now watching George Ashburn getting towed back into the pits right now. We're not sure what happened there. Hopefully Mikey Waynes will be able to get us the word on that.
Well, we did hear that he was down. I don't know if that was down mechanically or whether physically. He looks to be okay. You guys,
that looks like a mechanical issue to me.
All righty, Mikey Waynes down in Pro Pits.
Hey, thanks, guys. Down here with Chuck Nice. Many of you probably already know who you are, Chuck. You're down here. You're helping Jason Raines out today in the XC3. But tell us, for the folks that don't know you, you're an Indiana legend, man. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I've raced motocross here in central Indiana and the surrounding states for 47 years now. And I'm lucky enough, I've got to know Jason Raines, and I help him in the off-road demo program and just really enjoy the event. And I'm 62, and I still love being around dirt bikes in the sport.
Well, Chuck, we love having you out here with us this weekend. And how is Jason doing out there?
He's second right now. This morning, he's 19 points out of first in the point standings, and we're really hoping for a good day. What was that? Yeah, he had a bad race a couple of races ago and basically got knocked out and DNF'd.
Well, there you go, Chuck. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure, my friend. Good to see you. And we'll take it back to you guys in the booth.
All righty, 62 years old, still an avid motorcycle racer and rider. I think that's amazing. And speaking of 60, you know, we had some 70-year-old guys racing this morning. I think 71, 72, something like that. But even more impressive was yesterday, we had an 81-year-old gentleman from right here in the great state of Indiana 81 years old, still racing, raced yesterday. He actually finished, I think, in his class, and he beat like 3 people that were like 20, 30 years his junior, believe it or not. Man's named Jake Stratton, and we had a chance to catch up with him.
My name is Jake Stratton, 81 years old, and I just love to ride ATVs. I started out riding motorcycles back in the 60s, and then in the 80s I changed to 3-wheelers, and then in the late 80s I changed to 4-wheelers and started motocrossing for a few years. And you get to motocross, you run a couple motos, then you got to wait all day. So I figured do something that I can enjoy, so hare scrambles, I started doing that. Well, I got my kids into it, and I got my grandkids into it. Now my grandkids won't let me out. They say, "Oh, come on, Grandpa, you're not that old." Okay, buddy, you wait till you get that old. But my grandkids do it, and I've got 2 great-granddaughters that ride 50s in the Iowa series. And so, yeah, that just keeps me going, yeah. I love it, yeah. Just want to thank everybody, all the workers and everybody that puts on these races and takes time to do this so we could have a sport like this. This is really a great sport. And I'd like to encourage maybe some older people, maybe come out and do it. You know, get off the couch maybe and get away from the TV and come out and have some fun. My name is Jake Stratton.
Wow. Great-granddaughters racing 50s. He's 81 years old. And Hunter Hart, you said it yourself. The guy is no slacker, is he?
No, I was watching him off the start and stuff from through the fields, and my buddies and I were kind of joking about it. Like, we couldn't even really tell who it was, and then after seeing that he was on that Kawasaki there, I was like, man, he was actually shredding pretty good for how old he is, you know. I mean, he was no slouch, and he looked to be going pretty good.
All right, look at this. We got the battle going on here at the 9-mile marker. Caleb Russell.
We actually have a lead change. That was Thad Duvall leading and Caleb Russell second.
Wow, that is just crazy how that's all unfolding. The X Factor, again, I told you, don't expect anything to be expected, because this is going to be one of those races where right down to the very, very end, things could literally change at the last given moment. We saw Walker Fowler run out of gas yesterday and push his bike to the finish line to get across the finish line yesterday. Still nearly taking the checker flag out front, but it came up just a little bit short, 0.4 of a second. And I don't know about gas mileage on these bikes. We know about pitting strategies. We've already seen these guys pit on lap 3, the majority of them. Some have gone 4. This is a 7-lap race, so when we start putting that in perspective, we see that the riders have been able to go 4 laps on it, at least 1 or 2 have. Will that mean that they'll chance it if this is a close race at the very end, or will they roll the dice and go ahead and take that stop?
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't see any chaos down in the pits yet, but I think if I was those guys, I'd pit twice just to be safe, you know, because I mean, I'd take the couple seconds, because if you end up if you're leading, you end up out of gas like Walker did yesterday, that close to the finish, that sucks, you know. And I definitely wouldn't want to be in that position. And I think that these guys might have learned a little bit from yesterday, and having this track be as fast as it is, they might use a little more gas today than they would have anticipated for, because we do have these nice big fields that are super fast and help drain that gas a little quicker.
Less than a minute to go before we expect our leaders in to the finish line, which again would be Thad Duvall. A lap ago it was Russell, Baylor, and Duvall. This time around, it looks like Duvall, Russell, and I still believe Grant Baylor back in that number 3 position. We'll know for sure the tail of the tape when they come around at the finish line here in just a few moments, as we watch these final sections leading into this conclusion of hour number 2.
So I have a question. Whenever, I'm a motocross guy, I'm fairly new to GNCC, so whenever it's dusty like this, does that affect the gas mileage, the fuel mileage, the way the bike sucks fuel whenever it's dusty and the airbox is working harder and the bike is working harder versus if it was mint?
Leaders coming into the finish, and to answer that question, as Caleb Russell is back out to the lead, Thad Duvall back in the number 2 spot. I would almost have to say you generally don't hear people talking about that wheels. It's never 2-lap board is out also, by the way. But what you do have, you almost have to think that, yes, that is the case, that fuel mileage would be drop, because with this fine silty dust that we've got out there, the air filter would be sucking a lot more, and it would cause it to use more fuel. So I would have to think that it would see a little bit more fuel mileage, or decrease in fuel mileage. So but will it be enough to really make a difference? These guys watch those tanks as they go around. They calculate this stuff scientifically, and they know how much gas they should have whenever they come around. So we'll know here pretty soon. They did stop through here on lap number 5. 2-lap board is out. They may on the white flag lap. I almost have to think that they probably won't do it. They may have this calculated out to go the rest of the way. They got those big tanks, too.
There we go. We see Grant Baylor actually grabbing a splash right now. And to kind of go off this question, it definitely doesn't affect much of the fuel mileage, but it does affect the way the bike will handle sometimes. Like in the real dusty races, you'll see them sometimes actually have like spare filters that they'll switch out because the bikes will actually start to shut off and cut out if they get to the point where they're too clogged, and they actually won't be able to pull as much air through as they need to run properly. And a lot of these bikes are fuel injected, which that'll definitely help compensate for it a little bit on the 4-stroke models, but we haven't seen any of the 2-stroke EFI bikes come out here yet, and I think that'll definitely be a game changer as well.
Well, it's starting to heat up. I'm sitting here in the shade right now. I'm beginning to break a little bit of sweat, and this is the hottest it's been basically all weekend since Friday or Thursday night when I rolled in here. And Thursday was a warm day leading into it, but rather cool, overcast. We're looking rather ominous for rain nearly all weekend as our leader now, Ben Kelly, is making his way by. Or is that John? I'm sorry.
That's
Josh Toth. Josh Toth. Ben Kelly's leading points, yes. But Josh Toth leading, and he is your XC2 defending class champion. Austin Lee, last check at the end of lap 4, was 30 seconds behind. We're going to see how this XC2 250 Pro battle is starting to shape up now. We know that Austin went in, had the pit stop. We know that Craig and Benjamin Kelly was right behind him. We'll know now what's going on.
Yep, there's that actually exiting the woods. That's over by, I believe, like between the 1 and the 2 mile marker. And then you could kind of see in the woods there where it was kind of like nice brown dirt, then you hit the fields and it's a little dusty. That's definitely another little characteristic that the riders have to take into play, as well as like if they're in the woods, they can close in real heavy so they're right on their guy in the field so that they don't get dusted out.
Man, check out that view along the highway. You're cruising down the highway, you can stop and watch more motorcycle
And look at it, they're literally running the same highway speeds down that
I think Thad just passed a car, actually.
Yesterday it was kind of funny, like I'd glance over and like I was pulling up, I'd pull up next to a car and I'd just pull on them a little bit, and I bet you these bike guys are definitely going a little faster than we were yesterday through the straight lines as well.
I wonder what those motorists are thinking when they drive by seeing motorcycles and ATVs flying so fast in the fields over there. I'm sure it's certainly piquing their interest, and quite rightfully so. We got great battles going on. Russell, Duval, Baylor. At the 2 mile marker here is your leader coming in now. They're basically shadowing each other now as the 989 not too far off pace there of Caleb Russell now. And a lap rider in between them right now. Probably what I'd say a little bit more than that 1.3 seconds that we were looking at, maybe 5 or 6 seconds. But again, we're in a situation at this juncture of the race, these guys might as well be wheel to wheel at this point.
Oh, for sure. I mean, after we're 2 hours into this race, and those guys, you could put a large blanket between the two of them, and I mean, that's incredible that those two are just pushing that hard. And I mean, we've got Grant Baylor right there coming through as well. He's only probably what would you guys say, 10 to 15 seconds, just like he was last lap?
Yeah, I think right around that 15-second lap. He checked in at 19 seconds back, but he might have been a little closer to Duval that time. I think Duval might have made a little bit of a mistake of some sort, or something slowed him out there. It was an extended pit stop or something. I didn't quite catch it out there, but regardless, a little bit of a gap, only a handful of seconds, 5 seconds or so more than what we saw. So, yeah, probably right around that 15, 14-second gap between second and third place position now. That's Trevor Bollinger's mechanic, I believe, making his way out right now, trying to give the pit board. Bollinger's back in a number 6 position, 27.7 seconds behind Ricky Russell, who is now in the 5th place position. Stu Baylor is your 4th place ride. 1 minute and 9 seconds now gap between 4th and 3rd place position. So I almost have to think, barring no major miscalculations or malfunctions by these top 3, we, I believe, have our top 3 secured as far as who's going to be on the podium, but what order in particular, I think, still is kind of up in the air at this juncture.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, seeing Grant Baylor come on strong, you know, he was pulling together. He was cruising right through there, and it looks like we have some of our XC2 riders coming through right now. Let's see who we've got leading that one. Actually, we have Craig DeLong and Austin. Craig DeLong and Austin Lee are the 2 that are leading that one. Oh, actually,
Who is that? Is that
Witkowski, who is listed in a number 7 position at the end of lap number 4. Looks like he may be working up through the pack right now and gaining a few positions. And I know next in, about 2 minutes between the 4th and 5th place ride of Craig DeLong and Nick Davis. There was a big gap there. Witkowski was only running about 30 or so seconds behind Nick Davis. Whenever you start looking at lap times, I think he was a little bit faster in the grand scheme of things, and that might be what we're seeing translating out right now, the fact that Witkowski is making up time and pushing toward that top 5 right now. Well, let's head down to Mikey Wayne's. Oh, we got a Mike Witkowski rig tour. That's Mick Witkowski, actually featured on the event t-shirt this weekend. He's always been a big player in GNCC, making his way through the youth ranks, and here he is today in the XC2 250 Pro class, and he's rolling big in the rig. Let's check it out on our next edition of GNCC Rigs.
Hey guys, this is Mike Witkowski. I'll give you a tour of the Beta Factory Racing Rig, and yeah, let's go check it out. This is the 250RR Race Edition. Beta's done a really good job, and Jameson Grider is my mechanic. Getting the final prep down for the race day. Let's go take a look at here's Jordan Ashburn's 430. Let's go take a look inside. In here, pretty much just the regular. We got all sponsored product in here in case the mechanics need anything. Back here, we got fresh cans of tires, a wheel set if they need it. These are extra brake systems in case we have a issue during the race. Extra sprockets. We got VP race fuel. Over here, team uses radios, communicate throughout the race day. In here, it's just random stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where the magic happens, I guess. That's the tour of GNCC Rigs, and this is Beta Factory Racing. Thanks.
All righty, and Mike Witkowski, part of that Beta team, and of course under the direction of one Rodney Smith, 5-time GNCC champion. You know that things have got to be good in the world of Beta right now. We're starting to, a bike that you barely ever saw at the racetrack before, now with a full-fledged team and full-fledged true dedication with riders and former champions like Rodney Smith on board. You know that they are serious whenever it comes to this kind of stuff. Out, Caleb Russell dropping down here. This looks like a rather interesting section of racetrack. Tell us a little bit about this section right here.
Yeah, so this was the Monster Mile that was pretty sweet section. We had some nice ravines in there from yesterday. The part we rode, we kind of dropped into a ravine, rode up through kind of like what looked like creek tributaries and stuff like that, and then we kind of rode through a couple of creek river beds and had a nice little hill climb at the end that would connect us from the 4 to the 5. And we passed right by the 5-mile marker, and it looks like Caleb right now is heading straight through there, and we've got a couple lappers in between him and Thad, which definitely hard for Thad to keep on pushing, or not for him to keep on pushing, but like if he gets in a good groove and then catches a lapper in the tight stuff, it's hard for him to be able to keep getting through them. If Caleb can get through 4 or 5 of them clean, that'll give him a little breathing room as well.
His saving grace is going to be whether or not Caleb has issues with some of that lap traffic. It could be a little bit to an advantage for that at this point, being so close to Caleb. Once these guys realize they fall away, they know that seconds coming in, so they'll get out of his way a little bit quicker. So I have to think that right now that might be an advantage here as we roll through this third and final hour of racing. About 13 minutes left to go in this lap. We'll see a white flag, I believe, coming out in the start under 2-lap board conditions. And again, we are setting the stage for an amazing and dramatic finish here right now. I mean, the drama just keeps building. The intensity just keeps rising. And you can see it in an aggressive way right now that our leaders are riding. We talked in weeks past about how calm, cool, and collected these guys seem to be. They actually seem to be riding a little harder today. Not that they didn't ride harder before, but they seem to do it at a little more relaxed pace in weeks past. Today, though, it seems like, I don't know whether it's the terrain, what the case may be, but there's a little bit more of a challenge for them, it seems like, out there today.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that today it just looks like they're kind of a little smoother because this track is definitely suits a lot of those guys. I mean, Caleb grew up in Ohio. It's actually Stu right now going through the Monster Mile, but like the dirt out here is just so predictable. You know, like you can go into the corner and you know it's just going to stick every time just because there's not a lot of sliding going on out there because there's not much moisture out there, and I think that definitely helps to keep Caleb kind of knows what's going to happen with the motorcycle. So just like Thad or any of those top guys, they all know what their motorcycle and what their tire combination is going to do throughout every piece of that racetrack. You know.
Most definitely, and right now, just to give you a heads up on where we are, 12 minutes out from finish line. Trevor Bollinger making his way through. Bollinger, the 739 machine, again running 6th right now. As we checked in with him, was only a handful of seconds behind Ricky Russell. Russell was rounding out the top 5 position. So, I mean, looking at this right here, I mean, either one of you guys surprised at what we're seeing right now?
No, not really. I do think it's kind of funny, the conversation you and I had this morning about how sometimes it seems these guys kind of like go slower to go faster and kind of like think longevity over the sport and don't just send it all the time. Right now, that conversation we had this morning is null and void.
Exactly.
the track conditions and the way that, like you said, the way that they're able to hook up a little bit because it's not as wet as what we thought it was going to be. Yeah, they're twisting the grip and they're going for it.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you know, that's funny that we had that conversation, and then they come out here and we see a lot more intensity, it seems like, out of these particular riders. And I don't know if it's because that, you know, Caleb, I'm sure, is thinking, I can't let Thad keep getting in that position, or, you know, he's eventually going to figure it out on a more consistent basis. I'm sure that's what he's thinking. And Thad at the same time is thinking, I'm there. I just need to be there at the checkers, and I'm so close. So that's why he's riding so aggressive, and I think that Caleb's really riding more aggressive today to try to keep him from being in that position at the end of this race.
Right, and I think also these two are, you know, they're at a point where, like we were talking about contact earlier, they're respectable, they respect each other, but we both know that both of these guys will do anything it takes to win, and I think that Duvall is kind of not over it, for lack of a better word, but over just, you know, Caleb got me again. Caleb got me again. So if he gets a chance, I don't think the contact's over. I think we're, like you said before, I think we might see some more plastic scraping later on. I'm hoping.
We might get to see a really good helmet cam footage from Caleb Russell this week then, huh? Hey, let's check in with that XC2 250 Pro Class again real quick. Those guys, they're about 13, 14 minutes out from a white flag. They are 5 laps in. Josh Toth and Ben Kelly have somehow or another worked their way in the 1st and 2nd place. However, they have not found each other on the racetrack, as there's still about a 30-second gap between 1st and 2nd. Austin Lee is back in the number 3 spot. Craig DeLong in 4th. Mike Witkowski rounds out the top 5. We got leaders come through here again just a moment ago, or are we waiting on leaders?
Yeah, I think we were seeing the XC2 leaders coming through there as well, and kind of what you guys are talking about with Thad, how he's just second for so long to Caleb. I mean, we don't see it as much on the motorcycle side. We've started to with Caleb. How he kind of he's been a very dominant force in the last 5 years. But like if we look back on the ATV side of things, I mean, we've had Barry Haas dominated for a very long time there, and then we had Bill Balance dominated for 9 years, and then we had Chris dominate for 6. And you know, Walker's definitely shown that he's got what it takes, you know, to be another dominant force. And it seems like the clusters come very, very long and very thick on the ATV side of things. And we haven't really seen that on the motorcycle side of things until Caleb came along, you know. He kind of was able to cement a good system that worked well for many years, you know. And Caleb's the winningest motorcycle racer that they've had. And he's doing something right, you know, like you can't take anything away from the guy. I mean, he definitely shreds on a motorcycle.
There's no doubt, and I know that so many guys are trying to mirror and figure out what he is doing, do the same thing that he is doing, and the closest one to getting that figured out again is Duvall at this particular point. But I got to wonder, man, just pure heart and desire. The Baylor boys seem to be showing, shining through on that end of it, that's for sure, if you break it down. Not saying that Thad and that, of course, Caleb don't have the heart and desire, but it really shines through right now, I think, for the Baylor boys. Let's check in with the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. We got a lead change there as Jason Raines last time around checked in out front about 17 seconds ahead of Cody Barnes. Jesse Ansley drops back to the number 3 spot, and not real sure what's going on there. Jason Langenbeck just checked in, 1 minute and 21 seconds back and forth. We're looking for Alex Teagarden to round out the top 5. Man, we've seen some big changes in both of these classes, all 3 of these classes today. I mean, we've seen changes up front in the XC1 Pro class. We've seen the changes taking place in the XC2 and now XC3. I mean, there's not really been a lot of consistency in today's racing amongst these riders. I mean, it's just been, and I don't want to call it a free-for-all, but I mean, it just seems like there's just crazy things happening, X-Factor type stuff, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely think that oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of things that can come into play here. Like, I mean, just there's so many unpredictable pieces about it. You know, like we saw at the Georgia round, Josh Toth had that hand injury that took him out of the XC2 points lead. It definitely opened the door for Ben Kelly to just start to like shine through. You know, have a good confidence booster there. And I mean, we could see any of those things with any of those top 3 class, any of the actual classes out here today. You know, and I mean that XC3 class is just as competitive as the XC2 or XC1. They're just on a little less power.
Well, we had a chance to catch up with Josh Toth to talk a little bit about how things are going right now.
I prefer the mud. Last year was a little extreme here, but yeah, I wish we got a little rain, but the dirt is pretty good in the woods and has some moisture in it. The fields are going to be a little dry, but I think it turned out to be a really good day. I injured my hand at Georgia, so it's steadily improving, and yeah, the last round I was able to win, so hopefully I keep the momentum going, and hand's getting better every day. So yeah, just hope it keeps going that way.
Well, I tell you what, we've seen this kid come from out of nowhere, basically earned himself a factory ride, and actually both those kids, Josh Toth and Ben Kelly, both doing just exactly that, and it's pretty amazing to see how some of these folks are making their way in. We got another rider that is on his climb through the ranks of the GNCC racing world and becoming more and more of a factor whenever it comes to the drop of the green flag in the GNCC racing. And the rider we're talking about is Jesse Grom right now, and currently running in 11th place in the XC1 Pro class. He comes out of Fort River, New Jersey, and you know, he's got his own struggles as well. Kind of like the Baylor boys being a private player. We had a chance to talk with him a little bit about that.
Different people have different advantages and disadvantages in life, and you just got to make the best out of what you got. You know, everybody's dealt a different hand, so you know, some people can be a victim or you can be a victor. You know what I mean? So I don't care what my situation is. I'm going to do the best I can to pursue my goals and also my future. You know what I mean? There's a life after racing, so racing's a priority for me, but I also got to set myself up for you know, when you can't race anymore. So there's a lot of coffees and a lot of caffeinated drinks you know, drank down on Sunday nights, but it's brutal. You know, I live on my own. I bought my own place, so I got to take care of the house, work full time, maintain my bikes, train, and you know, what you call it, I'm my own team manager, I'm my own mechanic, so I'm my own racer. So it's a lot, but it's worth it. It's very rewarding when you do have a good day.
Man, you have to respect and admire somebody like that. You. Not saying that there's more people out there that are doing that, but to do it at the level that Jesse's doing it, and the Baylor boys, we've seen them do it. They've also had some help in the past with the folks. But Jesse, I mean, that's true privateer right there. I mean, there's no help there.
I love that kid's attitude. You know, listen to the way he talks. It's basically like, this is what I want to do. You can throw all the punches at me you want. They're going to roll off my back, and I'm still going to be here week in, week out to get the job done.
He will not be denied. I think that's as impressive as anybody. Now, Hunter, you come from a little better situation than what Jesse would as far as that is concerned. I mean, is it easy for you to you get inspired by that? I mean, because knowing that, you know, he doesn't have the support network behind him like that you've grown up with. I mean, do you think that you could go on and fight like that if you were in the same situation?
I definitely think it'd be a little challenging, but I mean, my mom and dad have been a huge supporter with me. You know, they own a motorcycle dealership out of New York, and it's always been well, you know, to have them. They're there every weekend with me, and we've grown up in this. And I mean, I've raced GNCC since I was 9 years old. It's kind of all I've ever known how to do. And not all I've known how to do, but it's what I really excelled at in life, and it's been really nice to grow up with an awesome family that supports me, and then to have the GNCCs there as well to kind of help me get to be able to kind of build a career out of this and just be able to chase a dream. You know, to be a professional ATV racer isn't an average day. Somebody that you walk up and see somebody that says they want to do that. But to me, it's what I want to do, and we're getting closer and closer every weekend.
Approaching 2 hours, 18 minutes into this race right now as Caleb Russell, Duvall, Baylor, and Russell are your top 5 in the overall right now. I have to ask you, Hunter, if you were faced in a situation, Mom and Dad said, we don't have it anymore, we can't do it anymore, what would you do? Would you try to move on, or would you just give up, or would you try to be like Jesse is right now?
Careful what you say, your parents may be listening.
I think it'd be pretty darn near impossible for me to be able to do that.
There's
but
Dad Duvall.
There's our leaders right there.
2 hours, 18 minutes into this race, as we had said, the number 1 of Caleb Russell working his way by. Thad Duvall still within hunting distance there, but the gap is opening up. I think that we saw that in the woods a few moments ago with the lap traffic and the lap riders and things like that. Back out into the open field sections, and less than 2 minutes away from lap number 6 complete. And, of course, with that, we'll see a white flag.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a pretty good usage of you for Thad to be hunting down Caleb. You know, since we're at a world-class hunting preserve out here at X Factor, and I'm sure that I know Thad's a very big hunter. You know, he does a lot of those cool hunts and stuff like that. I'm sure he's going to be into it. I saw him and his dad actually going fishing last night at one of the ponds around like 6 o'clock. They were pedaling out to do that, which I thought that was pretty cool. Those two were going fishing together, even on like a race day. You know, like something they love to do. They're able to kind of connect it together and put it together to be able to come out here and just do fun things as a family. You know, like racing's what the Duvalls have done, because I know that Chad Duvall, Thad's dad, was a very good ATV racer, and Thad grew up in the motorcycle side of things, and him and Caleb have kind of raced together for many years now. They've kind of been there, and they've been racing and constantly at each other's sides.
They have, and you know, they took the same path basically as well, and just amazing how they finally come together at this level. And the types of races that they have afforded us from a spectator point of view, I mean, the excitement, the intensity level that they bring to a 3-hour race. You know, and Jason Todd Wheels, I got to say, you come from a motocross background, but even doing that, I know how exciting moto is, this, that, and the other, but you have to admit, you don't see finishes like what you see anywhere else but right here in GNCC. And the amazing thing, it's not after a 30-minute plus 2-lap moto. It's after 3 hours of grueling battles. Here comes our leaders to the finish. We'll talk and expand on that again here in just a moment. But there is Caleb Russell in. Let's see that gap. And second place, lap traffic, lap rider.
There's Thad right there.
And there's Thad.
That's probably, I'd say, anywhere from the 5 to 10 second range right now with those lappers kind of playing a little piece right now for Caleb to gap out a little bit.
I'm going to go more about 12 or 13. White flag out for Caleb Russell now as the white flag waves for him. 10.2 seconds now between first and second. Good call.
That was right on the end of mine, close to yours.
Well, Hunter, you're a racer, so we're looking at the gap now that's between Duvall and Russell. As
there's Thad Duvall coming in for a pit stop, by the way.
Yeah. So how much of that do you think is the lap traffic, and how much of that do you think we're winding down the last lap and he's just tired of sucking in dust and just kind of chill, like hang back out of the dust a little bit?
I definitely, the lappers are a huge piece. You know, I mean, every lapper you catch, I feel that you lose at least 5 seconds if you can't get around them. Because, I mean, every lapper is just another opportunity for somebody that ahead of you to gain a little gap, especially if you catch them in a tight spot and you can't get around them. It's a pain, you know. But, I mean, they're out there. They're part of the race course, and you have to be able to adapt to that. And, I mean, I'm sure Caleb's catching them about the same time that Thad is. He's just catching them 2 or 3 bike lanes to the head. And I know that if Caleb can see a lapper at the end of a field straightaway, he's on that rev limiter, letting them know that he's coming basically for them to get out of his way so that maybe he can sneak by 1 or 2 of them before Thad can get by him. And we can see that right now, actually, what I was talking about, how Thad's closing in on this lapper right here. Let's see if Thad can get him before he goes into the woods. Yep, that lapper actually let him by. But if that lapper had held Thad off there, that section through there, I know is very fast, and that definitely can play into the piece a little bit to make it definitely harder to maintain and keep cruising. But I know this last lap, it's going to be an all-out sprint. It's going to probably get ugly out there for those two. I mean, they're gonna be going probably 120% everything they've got this last lap. It's gonna be a pure sprint, and we've seen Caleb's heart rates from some races that he publicizes it. I mean, like down in Florida and stuff, where he's like 180, 190 beats a minute. You know, that's crazy. You know, that's insane to have your heart rate that high for 3 hours.
Well, Mikey Wayne's down in the pits with an update. What's going on, Mikey?
Hey, guys, you saw it on camera right there. Thad Duvall taking a pit for a splash of fuel. Caleb Russell not pitting. White flag is out. Can Caleb Russell hang on to this? Is fuel going to become a factor here at the last lap? We're done here in the pits. I'm going down to the finish line to see the end of this one.
All righty, Mikey. That's a very good question, and one that I was posing for myself, to be honest with you. Exactly that. As I said, it's kind of a scientific thing that they got going on, especially in the KTM and Husky pits down there. They seem to know. They watch that gas tank. They have it marked. It's a clear gas tank kind of. They can see the fuel levels in there, and they watch it from different part of the track to a different part, and they're constantly radioing back and figuring what that fuel mileage is, and they'll know. And they knew coming into this last lap, or had figured that they have more than enough gas to finish this last lap without taking that splash. However, if there is a slight miscalculation in their formula, it could pay huge dividends for Thad Duvall here today.
Yeah, actually, here come our two leaders just by the 2 mile marker right now. We see Caleb is still out front, and Thad Duvall should be coming by just in a couple seconds right now. Caleb looks to have a slight lead over Thad right now. Here comes Thad coming through.
Well, here's something I wanted to point out. 41 seconds back to the third place ride of Baylor now. Baylor lap times 23:17 for Caleb Russell, 23:26 for Thad Duvall, 23:48 for Grant Baylor. Looks like a 23:47 for Stu Baylor, still a minute and 7-8 seconds back. So that gap's probably not going to close up in this final lap. However, hey, this is the X Factor. Trevor Bollinger right now, fifth place for the 739. Rick Russell in 6th, Shane 8th, 7th, 8th is Tote, Jamin Kelly 9th, and Austin Lee rounding out the top 10. There's 8, 9, and 10 for your XC2 250 Pro riders. And as we roll through this, when we see all this dust, you know, I can't help but think back to about a year ago when we ran this race, the inaugural race here at the X Factor Whitetails. It blows me away the total and complete difference that we had from last year. Here's last year's race, if you remember. A little bit more moist, a little bit wetter, and we had, I think,
it was a 2-hour race. Yeah, they combined 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. into one big 2-hour race because the track was just pure chaos out there, and I mean it was something else, you know. I mean, just look at that. That is just pure ruts. It was a true survival race out there, and you see Ricky actually aiming for that grass and stuff like that. And that grass is what'll, you know, that grass, you can see what's there other than like trees and stuff that's down a little bit. But if you get into the ATV ruts and stuff like that, I mean, they're deep. I actually raced that. I did the 2-hour race here last year, and it was definitely gnarly. You know, these guys were going. They ended up lapping me last year, and they were crazy. You know, I was watching them through the ruts, and I was like, how could they go that fast? You know, in those conditions.
Well, I tell you, in the end, though, Thad Duvall does what he always does: goes out and rides his heart out and lays it all out there, leaves everything he has on that racetrack, just as Caleb Russell does every time that green flag waves, and most of these guys in this XC1 class and the guys out here in this GNCC racing, they let it all go, they lay it all out there, and Thad Duvall, look at those ruts that he had to ride through just to get to the checkered flag and take the
finish line.
Yeah,
that was at the finish line. That wasn't even at the real. That was the real course, but that was at the finish line, you know, where like most people are kind of like, "Ooh, it's not going to be that bad," and then you get there and you've got waist deep ruts that are crazy.
Wow, that's what a difference a year makes, huh? And a lot less rain leading into this, and a lot less rain there now. Back out the Monster Mile now, as I believe we'll be catching up with some riders coming through right now. We'll check in to see who we got coming. A couple of other things I do want to look at. I do want to go back and see if there's any changes in that FMF XC3 class. We had Jason Raines really starting to capitalize out there. Cody Barnes, 17 seconds, almost 18 seconds back. Ansley, Langenbeck, and Alex Teagarden, still your top 5 there in the FMF XC3. As far as the overall goes, At 2 hours and 27 minutes into this race, Caleb Russell and Thad Paul, Grant Baylor in third, Stu Baylor in the fourth place position, and Trevor Bollinger rounds out your top 5. Can anyone stop Caleb Russell? Will it be Thad Duvall? Will it be Grant Baylor? Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I
only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
Whether you are looking for a 150 class or 600 class deer, X Factor Whitetails can suit your needs. We offer guided weapon of choice hunts for all groups of all sizes. From the time you arrive at our location, you'll get the 5-star service. We boast the capability of sleeping over 20 people comfortably. Book your hunt today. Call 765-244-0170 or go to xfactorwhitetails.com.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing!
Hello everyone, I am Chase at Rocky Mountain ATVMC. Now as riders ourselves here at Rocky Mountain, we are proud to support and sponsor the GNCC Racing Series. Now one program that we've always been known for is our Race Gas program, where every rider who pre-registers for a GNCC race receives a $20 gift card to Rocky Mountain ATVMC. And now for 2018, we've made it even better with our all-new digital delivery. Now, after pre-registering and being put on the fast track, instead of waiting for your gift card to arrive via mail, your $20 in race gas credit will be delivered directly to your Rocky Mountain ATVMC account in 1 to 3 weeks, which is just enough time for us to receive your pre-registration information and process it. You will also be notified via email when your race gas cash has arrived and also what event you received it for and the expiration date of that credit. Now, if you don't already have a Rocky Mountain account, no problem. You'll be able to create one through the email that Rocky Mountain sends you. This new program will make it faster and easier for you to use your race gas cash, whether it's an online order or if you're calling in and ordering by phone. So don't wait. Get pre-registered today for an awesome experience at your next GNCC race and earn that free race gas cash. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tom along with Hunter Hart and Jason Todd, a.k.a. Wheels, with Mikey Waynes out and about on the roll right now. We got Caleb Russell out front, Thad Duvall in second, Grant Baylor in third as we pick up here at the Monster Mile.
So as we were just watching Grant Baylor actually come through, Grant Baylor is now missing his side cover for his airbox. I was able to see his airbox as he went up through one of the pieces, and that could play a little factor into Grant Baylor's machine running either a little poor or a little better with the increased airflow that he is now getting.
Exactly. He could suck in more air, but he also has the opportunity to suck in more dust. We are now 2 hours and almost 31 minutes. We are 2 hours and 31 minutes at mark. And we are rolling through the X Factor GNCC, my friends, and only moments away from a checker flag. About 12 and a half minutes is what we're expecting to see the leaders in. And we expect that it's going to be Caleb Russell. But again, X Factor could throw itself out there, and we could see a big change in that. But if things continue the way they are, there is Thad Duvall there at the Monster Mile.
Yep, by my calculations, by what we were watching on the screen, I'd say Thad is anywhere from like 5 to 10 seconds behind Caleb right now. Still a good little gap, but I don't think there's nothing left. There's lots of racing left to do right now with these next 5 miles to do anything.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is there any areas there that will be a good area for him for Thad to be able to catch up, say, a cluster of lap riders? If Caleb Russell happens to run into that, is there anything that will afford Thad a chance to catch up at this point?
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, between those last 5 miles, the last mile and a half was a little bit of grass track. So if Thad's close, he could try and throw a pass in there. And then in the woods, there's two more creek sections that they're going to encounter. There's one that's about a quarter of a mile long. They run down through that. I was talking about those bigger boulders. It's fairly dry. And then there's another creek section right over here, right before the 9 mile marker. That's a nice little ravine that I saw Caleb and a lot of the top XC1, XC2 guys were checking out this morning during the 10 a.m. race. And I know they're all discussing line choice, and they're all thinking what they're going to do on that last lap. You know, if it came down to that, where would they go and what was their last opportunity? But I'm sure that Thad and the whole Rockstar team and the KTM team are definitely going to get it together, and they're going to see where they can either get their guy to stay out front or get their guy to make a pass on that last lap.
Taking a look at some of our other classes as we're about 10 minutes out from a checker flag right now. Frank Messina leading the senior 840 plus class as we take a look at that one. 2 minutes and 20 seconds over Larry Sylvia, the 720. Shotgun Sean Remington in third. Tussle, the 91, is fourth, and Gregory Richardson rounds out the top 5 in that senior 840 plus class. Let's look at some of the B classes right now. Trenton Baughman, we haven't had a chance to really delve into these B classes yet, but he's leading this one by only 14 seconds over Matt Bruffy, the 419. Dalton Beccarelli, the 364, a minute and 30 seconds back. Fourth place, Mario Tonkev, the 771. Drew Norris is rounding out your top 5 aboard the 912 there. 250 B class, Sean Cochran out of West Virginia, a minute and 17 second lead over Cole Whitmer, the 518 machine. Ian Flynn, number 422, runs in third. Cody Moorhead, the 109 in fourth, and Greg Childers rounds out your top 5. Greg, by the way, right here from Peru, Indiana, a hometown boy in that 250B class. Looking at the 200B class, Sean Myers leading Tanner Kerfman. The 155 is Myers. Kerfman is about, 19 minutes ahead of Tanner Kerfman. That is a monumental lead in that one.
Yeah, I'd say that guy was he was cruising today. He definitely had his stuff figured out for this Indiana dirt.
No doubt. Tanner Kerfman in second. Bailey Parker, the 601, is third. Ryan Ladon, 361 in fourth, and Jacob Harmon rounds out your 5 there in the 200B class. 4-stroke B lights, Gatlin Welbert, brother-in-law to Caleb Russell.
Yes, yep.
558, Boonville, North Carolina. 4 minute and 38 second lead at the end of lap number 4. In second place hasn't checked in yet. And I'm going to say, hey, we got Mikey Wayne standing back down at the finish. We'll check back in with these guys in just a moment.
Hey guys, Mikey Wayne's down here, down at the finish. Crowd slowly starting to gather around. Sounds like Caleb and Thad's starting to try and close that gap a little bit. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be a clean Caleb Russell win? Or are we going to see some craziness like we did yesterday on the ATP side of things? We know one thing. It's all going to happen right here at the finish line coming up shortly.
You're absolutely right, Mikey, and thanks a lot for that update. And I just got goosebumps when he said that. Yeah. I get wound up after watching yesterday's finish. I mean, it just winds me up to know what the possibility looms here for these two-wheelers today.
I just think that this one's going to get pretty gnarly at the end, and we need Mikey to get on the other side of the banners because he's standing in the hot zone right now. And I fear for my little buddy's safety. He needs to get back on the other side of the banners where it's going to be safe.
There you go. You heard that, didn't you, Mikey? Hey, check this out. The 4-stroke B lights class, I want to point out Mac Reimer is one of the former youth riders, but Gavin Welper was a kind of a on and off again youth rider, never really put a lot of effort into it, but man, he really has in the last year or so, and he has really risen through the ranks. Tyler Sylvia running in third. Jake Easler is fourth, and Zach Maley rounds out the top 5 in the 4-stroke B lights. That B class, Steve Lambruno leading Justin Ramsey, Matt Modick in third, Neil Hood and boy Gary Desang rounds out your top 5. Senior B, Devin Ferguson leading Jason Stickley. Then we got Mark Cropper, the 110 in third, Dan Price in fourth, and Jason Wilson rounding out the top 5 Senior B. Back to the XC2 250 Pro class again, reiterating Josh Tote, Ben Kelly 1 and 2, Craig DeLong now into the number 3 spot. Austin Lee is fourth, and Mike Kowski, Indiana's own and featured on the event t-shirt, back in the number 5 position in that class.
There's a change in the XC3 class for this previous lap. We must have missed that.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Jesse Ansley has tracked down and passed Jason Raines now. 5 seconds is the gap between them, but look at the difference in lap times, about 30 seconds.
Whoa, Caleb almost threw her down hard.
Caleb Russell through that FMF section. Now, where is Thad Duvall? We got the clock on him yet? You counting, Hunter?
Yeah, I got it. Exactly 6 seconds. is all I got.
Wow. That is smoking right now. We could see that wheel-to-wheel action. He's right, little buddy. Get out of there. Mikey Waynes, get away from that track. These guys are coming in hot and hard, as they are in the FMF XC3 class as well. I'm going to try to get a few more of these classes, then we're going to turn our attention right to those guys right there to the very end. Let's go to our next real quick class. Looks like Ben Parsons leading Connor Smith right now, as Evan Earl running in the number 3 spot. Fourth place is Cope Becker. Fifth place is Bryce Coster. And I believe that is our Open A bike class there. So that's your top 5 in the Open A class. And, you know, while I'm thinking about it, you know, we always like to try in new areas, especially, and when we go someplace in GNCC, introduce ourselves and say, hey, you know, we're a motorcycling community and we're very family oriented. We have great things to show you. And we go out to some of these schools and we take some riders with us, and we have a pretty cool little thing that we do. And our Director of Operations, Tim Cotter, goes out and has been hosting these events with some of the other riders. And there you see it. We have...
oh, there's me.
Yeah, there you are, Hunter. Talk a little bit about this. You go to these things.
Yeah, I actually like doing the school visits a lot. You know, they're always fun. You know, the kids are always super pumped up when we get to go out and visit them. The previous school we went out to, I went out with my buddy Sadie Welch and my other friend Trey Warner. Sadie's a local girl from Indiana, and Trey's actually from Florida. And the school visits are always fun. You know, they're awesome for kids to kind of get to learn a little bit about motorcycles and learn a lot about what bullying is and kind of the effects that it has, and to not bully and to just be kind of like good kids, and how it all goes down. And actually, right here we're seeing what the gear challenge is. And how I'd like to go on the record and say we're undefeated on that. I've got 5 wins on that for the 5 school visits that I've done, and we're hopefully going to do another couple of school visits and rack up a few more of those wins.
Goal setting, perseverance, motorcycle safety, and as you said, anti-bullying. It's all a positive impact on the local communities. And thanks, Hunter, for being a big part of that. And thanks to Tim Cotter and the whole crew that goes out and makes sure that we can spread the word.
Yeah, for sure. They're always fun to do, and Tim's a great guy. He always makes the kids laugh. You know, he was definitely getting the little kids all into it today, or on Friday, got them all riled up, and they were loving it.
All righty, so back to the race at hand right now, as we are less than 5 minutes away, guys. 5 minutes away. 6 seconds is what we saw the separation, and I got to stand up.
You're already standing up.
I am. You got to understand, when we get to this point of the race, this is where the excitement starts to happen. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Okay, setting the stage for you. Here we are, 2 hours, 39 minutes, call it now, 42 hours and 40 minutes as we roll into this one. Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Grant Baylor, Stu Baylor, Trevor Bollinger. However, it's all boiled down to just the top 3, and basically the top 2 as far as this wind is concerned. We've seen a few different leaders today. We opened this one up today with now in 5th place, I believe. Stu Baylor was actually now 4th place. Stu Baylor was leading this when he had a footpeg problem. Yep. He had a couple of different stops, one out on the trail, one in at the track or in the pits. They got that taken care of. He lost so much time. We saw him making up a little bit of time, but it was just too little too late. But the big surprise was Grant Baylor coming back from nowhere. He actually rocketed himself all the way up into a 2nd place, getting around Thad Duvall a little bit and separating he and Caleb Russell in that battle for 1st place. But a lap or so into that battle, Grant drops off to a 3rd place position where we see him at right now. And Caleb and Thad, again, the traditional, well, what we've seen so far here this year and even a lot last year, the Thad and Caleb show. And it's going to come right down to the wire on this one, as we've seen 14 seconds at the 2-lap board, down to 10 seconds at the white flag, and halfway through this lap, or just past the halfway point, we were down to 6 seconds. Can we see that other 6 seconds be chipped away yet? Thing we got to realize, we keep talking about lap traffic, but it does play a huge factor. And as we get closer to this finish line, I know that there's going to be guys looking for the leaders and hoping that they get there very quickly, because they're going to want to go by and they don't want to take another lap. There are others out there, though, that do want that other lap. They are going to be pushing it, and they could be the X factor today in what happens and what takes place at this finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a couple lappers out here, you know, like everybody out here, they're having their own race, you know, and Caleb and Thad are just kind of, they're having their own battle. And and they're out there, and a couple of these guys, like they might be 10 seconds behind the guy ahead of them, and they know that, but Caleb and Thad are coming right behind them, and they want to get that extra lap because they think they can make a pass on that last lap, before they get lapped, and if they get lapped, their day's kind of over, and they can't make that lap pass, say like a third or fourth in their own class, but then there's Caleb and Thad who are going for the big cheese, they're going to be the best off-road racers in the world, I mean, this is where it happens, this is where the big dogs come to play, and those two are going at it, and they're leaving everything they have on the track right now with just a few miles to go. I'm sure Thad can see the dust from Caleb in the fields.
Past the 9-mile marker, our leaders go now. According to calculations, we are right at 1 minute, 2 hours, 42 minutes, 37 seconds into this race right now. About a 1 minute before the leader is due in, according to calculated scoring from our computer network, and it is, I'm telling you, I am dancing around right now. I'm waiting with bated breath, as they like to say, my fingernails. I'm about ready to chew them off. I'm sure that there are a lot of people sitting on the edge of their seat right now, wondering the same thing I am. Will we see that excitement at the finish line? And even if we don't, the excitement, Caleb Russell now at the 10-mile marker. We are getting no reports of Thad Duvall being anywhere close enough to make any strikes just yet. But don't count it out just yet. We're going to go right down to the wire one way or the other. Caleb is going to keep it pinned just like Thad is right on his rear wheel. And why? Because he knows at any moment Thad Duvall could be right there challenging him for that win, and he does not want to let that happen, especially after the loss here a year ago. He wants to redeem himself from that, and as well, he wants to post a 5th win on this season. That'll be 5 out of 6 wins. He doesn't want to give any momentum whatsoever to the 989, because last year at this time that happened, and at the summer break, Caleb Russell was in a lot of trouble as far as the series championship points race was concerned. And Caleb Russell now, in the closing moments of this race, is going to try to stretch his lead out and make it a 24-point lead.
There he
is.
As
Caleb Russell rounds the final few turns here at the X Factor. He is the X Factor at this round number 6 this year, my friends, in Peru, Indiana. Caleb Russell going to take the win and make it 5 here in 2018.
And we actually saw one of those lappers that Caleb let him go because he wanted to do another lap, and there was another one that was like done after Caleb came through. He followed Caleb through.
Wow, 6.5 seconds behind him. Thad Duvall, you had it nailed down, 6 seconds. He wasn't able to make up that other 6 seconds in that last 4 miles of racing, Hunter Hart. But wow, we saw it. We saw so many things take place here today. Wheels, I know you don't get to come to a lot of these, but you pay a lot of attention. Let's get your take on today's race. Grant Baylor coming in for the number 3 spot, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. Every time I get a chance to come to one of these, I can 100% guarantee you that I will be here. I will not miss one of these if I don't have to. This racing's great. There's nothing like it. You can watch it at home. It's exciting, but whenever you come here, it's a whole nother level. I don't know another sport where you can literally get close enough to the track where you can hand the riders a bottle of water if you dare to. It's just it's intense. Like it's crazy. I love it, and I'm thankful to be here.
We're thankful to have you. Hunter, you sat here all day long. You watched the whole thing unfold after racing it yesterday. You knew the variables that were out there. What's your take on today's race?
Yeah, I definitely think that it was definitely cool to watch it from in here. I've never been able to sit in and watch one of these, because I'm usually either headed home or out on the track. But it was definitely cool to see it from this perspective, And yeah, it was sweet, It was kind of cool to be able to kind of take a step back and just watch it all kind of unfold from up here and just seeing these guys put on one heck of a battle. Congrats to Caleb, Thad, and Grant for their awesome performances today. And then also, this is also. Grant had a huge hand issue. I remember seeing him at Society Hill, the Camp Coker Bullet. I was talking to him. He had a big gnarly scar on his hand from a wreck, and he showed what he was made of today with that 3rd overall.
Well, I'll tell you what, as far as I'm concerned, Grant Baylor is the X Factor today. He showed us so much, and though we might not have seen him win today, I think the glimpse of the speed that we saw him with and the time that he was able to make up out there. We roll into Ohio. Remember, last year he ended up with the win by default.
Yes.
So we know he's back up to speed and momentum, and we head into Ohio in a couple of rounds. We're going to be again, Grant Baylor is my X Factor. I think what we've seen right here, it may not be a huge swing in the race action today, but what we've seen out of Grant today is giving us an idea of what the rest of the season is, and he will and could be the X factor for the rest of 2018. And this kid may not even realize it. He's just hungry. He's one of those that's done nothing but ride motorcycles all his life, and all he wants to do is win. And that's what he's trying to make happen right now. Look at him. I mean, doesn't even really look winded. He's got a lot of sweat coming off, maybe a little tired, but he doesn't look like he just rode 3 hours at the pace that he just rode at.
That's the great thing. I've always noticed that about this sport. These guys ride 3 hours, heart on their sleeves, and then they don't even look tired. Like, these guys, are they even human? They're like machines programmed to just ride dirt bikes in gnarly conditions for 3 hours. It's great.
Well, we do see them every once in a while fall out whenever they push it all to the limits like they do. But today, like you say, I mean, in 10 minutes, it'll look like they're ready to go back to the starting line and get ready for another race. It's Thad Duvall, second place position finisher, and soon to be father as well, down there talking with some of the team mates and some of the folks about the race that just transpired. And Mikey Wayne's down right now getting ready to talk to our top 3 overall here in the winner's circle, and we'll get a word in with him in just a few moments. But Stu Baylor, 4th place, Trevor Bollinger in 5th, and I gotta say my hats off. Look at that trophy.
And that thing was a monster.
Wow. That almost made me want to take up racing for at least this round to try to win that bad boy.
I want to know, does Grant eat Big Brother's ice cream cone since he finished on the podium?
I wonder if Big Brother would let him have his ice cream cone.
I think he has to. Grant let him have it today, so he has to.
Let him have the ice cream.
That's right.
I like how you put that. That's pretty good. Beautiful aerial shots. I want to say thanks to our friends at Moose Racing, the Moose cool down zone there, and especially needed here on a day like today.
Looks like we just had a couple XC2 guys come in. I saw that one of Josh Toth. Let's see how those guys ended up.
Well, as they come in, I believe Josh Toth ends up taking that win only by 8 seconds over Ben Kelly. Wow, you got to hand it to these two Connecticut boys.
That battle for third is going to be the interesting one because Craig Long hasn't checked in yet, neither has Austin Lee.
Well, and lap times indicate that Craig was on the push. Remember, he's also on the mend and coming back from injury and stuff, so you got to wonder about his endurance level. Is Austin's a little bit better, and will he fare better here in his final lap of racing? There was about 1 minute and 26 seconds that separated second and third, so we'll know within the next few seconds here who is going to take third place in the XC2 Pro 2250 Pro class as we get another shot of that beautiful finish line there here at Dr. Whitetails. Again, folks at home, just want to let you know, get on the phone, call and book your next hunt right here at X Factor Whitetails. You'll get $500 off just by simply mentioning GNCC Racing and that you were here or that you watched it online. We want you to save that $500 as well if you're at home watching online. Book the next hunt, get that $500 savings, and come and take home a trophy of a lifetime.
I don't even hunt, and this place makes me want to take up hunting. This place is immaculate.
It is beautiful. I mean, you know, it kind of puts me in mind of, well, Camp Coker was real nice and green and everything like that and pristine in a lot of the areas. But what was that, Foxborough, Pennsylvania, that we went to a few years ago, the golf course, the Gusher? Let's head on down to the cool-down zone and Victory Lane with Mikey Wayne's.
Thanks, guys. Down here with Caleb Russell, man. Caleb, another win here in 2018, and you look like you got some left in the tank, man.
Not much. I mean, I just kind of cruised that last lap. The track was brutal. It was definitely physically demanding. It was the it was dry out here in the open where you guys probably had your camera shots, but in the woods it was moist and really ruddy and kind of ice, kind of slick on top. So you come around and you think you'd have really good traction, and all of a sudden you start swapping out. It was a technical track all in all. The slick out here in the dust, and then the powder berms, you would hit those and they just kind of like suck you in. There wasn't really any firmness in them. They just kind of grabbed your bike and wallowed you in there. And we had a good day. Got out front. Thad got up there to me. I made a mistake, went down, and he caught me, and then I made a bad line and he went around me, and then I was able to put my desert riding experience to work out here in the fields and get back around them. But, you know, it was a good race. That was running really good. He kept me honest all day, and he was right there. And, you know, Grant, Stu, and Ricky, all those guys were riding really good at the beginning.
Caleb, good work out there, man. How are you excited about getting this overall trophy here at the X Factor?
You know, I didn't even think about it out there. You know, I thought about it on the way here. I was like, damn, I want that trophy. That's pretty sweet. But super bad luck last year. Couldn't get it. Thad got it done. And, yeah, I'm pretty pumped on that, actually. No, that's pretty cool. Thank you.
Well, starting to sink in for him right there. Caleb Russell taking the win here today. The trophy that eluded him in 2017, he's going to have his hands on it here today.
Wow, there you go. And did you see how genuinely happy? I mean, it's nice to win a race, but sometimes there's something extra special. Sometimes it's an extra purse and extra money that these guys get. But, I mean, the joy that these guys, that trophy, that's so neat, I think, Wheels.
He looked like a little kid that just was like, oh, I get to open the big box on Christmas. Like, wait, this is mine? So, like, and as Mikey was talking to him, it was like coming, like, he was realizing, oh, wait, that big monster, I get to take that home and put it on my mantle.
That's awesome. And congratulations as we head down to Mikey Wayne's once again at Victory Lane.
Well, Thad, man, a second-place finish today. Obviously not, you know, the finish that you wanted. We saw you pit on the last lap, man. Did the strategy at the end of this kind of play into the result?
Yeah, I got off sync with Caleb, and I don't know, frustrating day for sure. I got a good jump on the start, but just somebody took me really wide and just let everybody go underneath me. So just put my head down and tried to ride as best I could, and I was able to catch Caleb there in the middle of the race, and just, I don't know, I didn't have it at the end. So just frustrating day, tired of getting second, just a lot of work during the week and during the day just to get second. So frustrating day, so it just gives me a little fuel for the fire. So hopefully we'll be able to bounce back at the John Penton and get that win I want.
There you go, Thad Duvall taking second today in the XC1.
And he is certainly wanting that win heading into John Penton. As he said, that's going to be, I think, an exciting race. And our next rounds of racing especially are going to be pretty nice. Actually, our next rounds as we roll through this X Factor, we go to May 25th and our 26th and 27th. I believe that's Memorial Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken. The John Penton GNCC in Millfield, Ohio. One of the, if not now, the longest standing GNCCs on the tour. The Tomahawk GNCC will follow that on June 9th and 10th. And then we'll be at Snowshoe, West Virginia on June 23rd and 24th. And then the summer break before we go back to a new venue in New York in September. So, you know, it's hard to believe. Here we are at the midway point of this series, basically. I think that round 7, John Penton GNCC will signify the exact halfway point of this championship season. And now Caleb Russell looking at about a 24-point lead as far as the point standings go, heading into, well, the halfway point now.
Yeah, but you heard Thad. He's tired of getting second. I think he goes home, puts his nose to the grindstone, and I wouldn't be surprised if this thing doesn't tighten up just a little bit more before we go into the summer break.
I have to agree. We saw that last year. If last year's any indication, we know that the possibility is there and it looms. We know that all it takes is one freaky thing to happen, a miscue, a bike running out of gas maybe, a mechanical failure that takes them out of points or drops them back in points, and the whole field turns around. So, I mean, we're still a long way away from crowning a champion right now, and Caleb Russell realizes, though he may have a little bit of comfort in the points lead, it's not over yet. So it's going to be keeping good racing going throughout the entire season. Let's head on back down to Victory Lane. Mikey Waynes.
Thanks, guys. Down here with Josh Toth, the winner in the XC2 today, man. Back-to-back wins for you now. It's got to feel good chipping away at that points lead your teammate Ben Kelly's got.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the goal, is to pick away at the points I lost earlier in the season. So, yeah, I just got to keep on getting some wins.
It's paying off, man. How's the hand? Pretty much recovered?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think GNCC, I get pretty lucky with not having to use the clutch too much. They're pretty fast and flowy, so it really didn't bother me here. Yeah.
Well, there you go, Josh Toth with back-to-back wins. He's taking the big one here at the GNCC X Factor.
All All righty, congratulations to Josh on that. Pretty impressive stuff, by the way. Our 250 Pro class, Ben Kelly finishing 8 seconds back in second. Craig DeLong does hold on for third. Austin Lee in fourth. Mike Witkowski rounds out the top 5. Then it's Evan Smith 6th, Nick Davis 7th, Jonathan Johnson 8th, Liam Draper in 9th, and Pascal Rochnecker to round out the top 10. Real quick, a look at that overall again to let you know how that broke down. Russell Duval, Grant Baylor in third, Stu Baylor in fourth. It was Trevor Bollinger 5th, Josh Train 6th, Ricky Russell 7th. Josh Toth ends up finishing 8th overall after winning the XC2 class. Ben Kelly was 9th. Craig DeLong rounded out your top 10. It looks like we're about ready to talk to our third place finisher, Grant Baylor.
All right, thanks, guys. Sorry about that. Grant Baylor, third today, man, in the XC1. Rodney was referring to you as the X Factor in this one.
Yeah, man, it was an awesome day. I mean, these last couple weeks have been unbelievable. You know, I got the win at the Sprint Enduro on the first day and just lost overall by a second and a half. Won the Enduro last weekend, now I'll be on the box this weekend, man. It just feels awesome, you know. Been struggling lately, and today was a good day, so I'm happy.
You're on a roll, man, and I know this is your first race back since the surgery, right? Well, with the GNCC.
Yeah, I broke my hand April 12th, so it's been about a month now, and you know, it's starting to get healed up now, so you know, it wasn't too bad out there today, so yeah.
Coming around, man. Grant, get yourself some water, get rehydrated, brother. A third place, the X Factor here today. Grant Baylor with the third place finish.
Thank you, and wow, that right there, that shows you how bad they want it.
Oh, I mean, that was...
You can hear the emotion in
Yeah, that was an emotional interview. He kind of choked up a little bit, and which kind of gives you goosebumps watching that, because you see these guys put their heart and their soul and, you know, their livelihood, their lives into this, and to see it pay off like that, I think, you know, he was third, but in Grant's mind, today was a win.
It was a huge win for him on a lot of different levels, and especially coming off of that surgery. He had his struggles at the beginning of the season regardless, and to be able to come in and put the ride all together. You look at that 3 hours of racing that they did out there. Look at what he put together out there and what he was able to accomplish. That's probably the best ride I've seen of him in over a year, to be honest with you. Let's head back down with Mikey Waynes.
Hey, guys, down here with the XC2, second place finisher today and points leader. Boy, Josh Toth, man, knocking on the door.
Yeah, it was a tough race again today. The dust I really struggled with. I know I have the speed to win because last 2 rounds I was able to run them down near the end, but I just haven't been putting myself in a good position, getting bad starts, and I'm just, you know, struggling. I work through the pack all day, and then by the time I catch him, I'm pretty tired, and yeah, we're both just going so fast that it's really hard to pass. You know, we're so close in speed, and it's almost sketchy trying to make a pass. So you got to wait for the right times, and sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Well, it didn't all come for you today, but man, still got that points lead. What's the mindset heading into the John Penton?
Just gonna go back and keep working, doing what I'm doing, and try to get another win and keep extending this points lead.
There you go, Ben Kelly, second place today in the XC2.
Well, congratulations to you, Ben Kelly. And again, as we were looking at that, I think, third place position in that class, I want to say congratulations to Craig DeLong on a big finish there. I want to say thanks to Wheels, Jason Todd for helping us out, also Hunter Hart and Mikey Waynes for another great job here this weekend. And hats off and tip of the hat to the technical crew and camera crew here at RacerTV.com on behalf of all of us here in the GNCC Racing Nation. I want to invite you back here in a couple of weeks to the John Penton GNCC Memorial Day weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Till then, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.